who heads talent acquisition at Dun & Bradstreet. So,
Nice to meet you all.
Morning, Girish.
Morning.
So Ambika, could you just run us through the mode how you want to run this session?
So initially, we'll of course be introducing you to our students, and post which we will have, I think, Mr. Vishwanadh Raju's talk first. After that, we have a couple of questions, I think, from the students that they would like to ask. And then I think he wants to leave early also. So once that is done, we will have your talk and then a Q&A session. And similarly with all the other panelists. Post that, we have a general Q&A session also, just in case students have any doubts.
Sure. So I would like to make it more interactive if possible, because I'll just do a 5-7 minutes talk.
Okay.
But I would like to welcome more questions from the students just to make it more interactive.
Right.
Because what happens, I've seen in this kind of virtual session, since we are not able to see them, right? We don't sense their pulse or don't get their emotions or reactions, right?
That's
So
true.
before we allow them to ask questions, that's when I think we can open up. I leave it to my other panel as well of their discussion.
Sure, yes. So in case you all have PPTs, I think probably we could give you presenter status and you could have your PPT shown.
Yeah, I don't have any PPT. I've just
Present,
uploaded a few lines.
I have a couple of slides which I can run through.
Yes.
So even I have Ambika.
Yes, sir.
But I would second what Sourav mentioned as well. So maybe let us make it more interactive. That's what I'll try to achieve as well as much, and motivate them to speak up as well.
Right. Makes sense. Likit, do we have the others also? Can we start or do we wait for another 5 minutes?
Ma'am, Likit said he's lost connection. He'll rejoin in a minute.
All right. Are you tracking Nitya?
I'll check, ma'am.
Yes, I think Apurva and Prajin are yet to join, no?
Yes, ma'am. Apurva is not here.
Okay, we'll just wait for maybe 2 more minutes and then we'll start. So probably they'll join in by then.
Yes, ma'am.
Likit, am I clearly visible because of the light and all background light? Is it clearly visible? Likit?
Yes, you're visible.
Sure, thank you.
I think Likit has lost connection.
Okay.
So yeah. Apurva, are you here? Huh? Nitya, I think you have to give Apurva, I mean, you have to unmute Apurva's mic.
Yes, ma'am. I'll do that.
Apurva, are we visible and audible to you?
Yeah.
Great. All right. So then I think we will start. So meanwhile, maybe the other panelists can join once they're free. Can we start? Is Likith here? Or maybe Nitya, you can start off with the session.
He's here, ma'am. I think he can start.
All right.
I'll make him go and
Yes, yes.
I'm so sorry, I lost connection. So should we start now?
Yes, please.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Likith, and we welcome you all to the 7th edition of BMSIT Employers MeetUp Series, EMBARK. EMBARK is an initiative organized to acquire practical insight from seasoned professionals from the IT industry. We now request Ambika ma'am, who is the Deputy Placements Officer at BMSIT, to speak a few words. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. So good morning, everybody, and especially good morning, distinguished panel members for the day, Mr. Vishwanadh, Mr. Sourav, Ms. Apurva, Mr. Thiyagarajan, Mr. Girish, and Mr. Prajin. So on behalf of the management of BMSIT, our respected principal, Dr. Mohan Babu, HODs of the Department of Computer Science, Information Science, and MCA, the faculty and students, I take this opportunity to extend you a very, very warm welcome to this online 7th edition of the Employers Meet, EMBARK. I really wish we could have all met on campus like we did every year. But of course, the situation is quite grim, so we had to do this online. So to commemorate a decade-long association with the industry, BMSITM had hosted the very first Employers Meet in 2014. And since then, the tradition has been going very strong year after year. So the aim of this event is basically for the students of, especially if this meet is for the IT engineering streams, to understand the current industry scenario, and especially in this pandemic era. So our panel members today come with a combined and vast and very rich experience with, I think, over 30 plus years. And they are here to tell you what IT career opportunities are there out there in the world, and how best all of you can make use of these opportunities so that you can have a bright future once you graduate. So we have with us today our alumni also, Ms. Apurva, Mr. Girish, and Mr. Prajin, okay, who have all achieved their career goals and are continuing to make their alma mater proud. And along with them, we have very distinguished industry representatives for today. We have Mr. Vishwanadh, Mr. Sourav, as well as Mr. Thiyagarajan, who are leaders of the talent acquisition verticals of their respective organizations. And they will definitely have a plethora of insights to share with all of you. So dear students, I really hope, this initiative, you make use of this opportunity today to understand from our panel members what best that you can also do to realize your ambitions and achieve whatever aspirations that you all have in this, especially in this ever-changing IT industry. So again, I welcome all of you all, and I now request Likit to take over the session.
Thank you so much for that, ma'am. So coming to the panel, we have an amazing one today. There is Mr. Vishwanath Raju, who is the head of talent acquisition done in Bradstreet, India. And then we have Mr. Sourav Narayan Biswas, who is the program manager for university relations and hiring at Capgemini. And we have Ms. Apurva Udaykumar, who is into marketing operations at Netflix. And then we have Thiyagarajan Selvaraj, who is an early talent lead at Epsilon. Then Mr. Girish Shivarudraiah, who is the cloud analytics manager at Accenture. And finally, we have Mr. Prajin P. Rajan, who is a software engineer at Google. Welcome, panel.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
The speakers will be giving us insights from the industry and also be answering any queries that we have, and will also be clearing doubts about expectations that the industry has from graduates. So if any of you have any questions, please drop in the box and we'll be taking them later. I now request Nithya to take over. Thank you.
Just to interrupt, I think Mr. Thyagraj also has joined. I think you have to unmute him. Yes. Nithya, please take over. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Let's kick off this session with Mr. Vishwanath Raju, who is a seasoned HR professional and a talent acquisition professional with over 19 years of experience in managing talent acquisition in product development and investment banking captive organizations. He has managed business transformation with talent acquisition strategy and has also managed global talent branding, candidate experience, and university relations. He was involved in driving the change management process and PCMM assessment for a large product company. Currently, he is managing talent acquisition for Dun & Bradstreet India. Over to you, Mr. Vishwanath.
Thank you. Hope all of you can hear me.
Yep. Yes, Vishnu.
Thank you. Thank you, Ambika. It's been a great pleasure always interacting with BMSIT. I can go back to the experience of maybe 7 years back when I used to be part of Honeywell Technologies and even Wells Fargo. It has been a great association with you guys, and you've always been given us the best of the best slots and also best of the best students. So I would want to embark on this relationship to the next level. So I think I need maybe around 20 minutes, and then, obviously based on the questions and answers that I would want to take it up. So let me just, just go back to the screen. So let me just share my screen. Once you are able to see the screen, just let me know. Yeah, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yes. Screen.
Yeah. So my vision of thought process to all of you is that I would want to compress my 17 years of experience, and if I had some bit of exposure that it could have been come to you, it will be great. And then I would ensure that I will bring in some product context. I will bring some technology context, and most importantly the subject context. So and I'm sure many of you are attending a lot of interviews, webinars, and all of that. One other thing that we all need to understand that is that sometimes it so happens that you have gone through a great learning, and obviously you're like, oh my god, I've charged up and tomorrow onwards my life will change, but you don't work on that and life doesn't change, right? So I don't want you to this 4 or 5 hours that you're spending with industry leaders, please be a little more serious about what they're talking about, because they're talking about realistic instances, they're talking about their experiences and all of that, and I'm sure you have to learn from them and then see how you can actually look at it, right? So dear past, thanks for all the lessons. Dear future, I'm ready, and that's what I think we need to talk about. So I'm sure many of you have heard about this terminology, right? Future of management lies in technology, the way it is adopted. I'm sure you're reading about it. It's not AI will replace human beings. It is those people who know AI will replace those people who don't use AI. AI coupled with human intelligence is the future. Future belongs to those who can make man and machine work together. These are all HBRs of the world. You would have read it, and right. So these are all very, very powerful statements. I would want to ensure that you pay attention to this. It is not data analyst anymore. It is data detective. Transformation from digital analyst to digital tailor. Last but not the least is COVID in 19 is a new technology officer, right? So all of these are happening at this point in time, right? So what I'm trying to mention, I'm not scaring you guys. There's a lot of transformation happening at this point in time. If you're not understanding, I'm not expecting you to learn it, I'm not expecting you to understand it deeper, but if you're not understanding how is it impacting your career, I think you are in the losing side. So please pay attention to that. I'm sure many of you are seeing this, right? So, I'm sure, you are seeing robotics, you're seeing kind of AI and all of that, making our jobs redundant. But this is the future, right? So the future belongs to those people who can think beyond technology and augment technology and human beings. So this is a wake-up call for all of you to think that, okay, it's just not about coding, it's just not about doing some development work. What are you trying to solve at the end of the day, and what is the technology that you're using, and most importantly, what domain that you're talking about is more important. So please pay attention. If you don't get into this wave early into the game, then I think you'll not have a time to kind of even react on that. So that's the context that I'm trying to talk about. So I think NASSCOM clearly mentioned that these are the future technologies. I'm sure everyone knows about it, and I just wanted to ensure that each one of you have to have at least a flair or understanding of at least one or more of these technologies and how it is impacting your work, especially from a social and mobile, 3D printing, virtual reality, blockchain, IoT, cloud computing, data science, RPA. RPA stands for robotic process automation, quantum computing, and AI ML, right? So I would want all of you to understand these terminologies to an extent of definitions and how they are impacting, but have a flair of understanding or maybe some more interest in one of those areas. And especially, my favorite is AI ML and RPA, or data science for that matter. Please have some more understanding of these, because sometimes it so happens that you are also thinking about a future, and those are the people that we as an enterprise would want to hire beyond technical ability that you can bring into the table. So who are in demand? If you want to be in demand, either you should be a subject matter expert in one of these areas that I spoke about, or you are planning to build business on that particular product or technology, or you are building a platform on top of that to kind of enable some of the business product, or you are an assessment and certification company. So you are early in the game. You can decide which of these can be your portfolio, the way you look at things and all of that stuff, and you can build your career, right? So if you take RPA, if you take cloud, or if you take something like the data science and all of that, either you become subject matter expert. There is a lot of opportunities you have, and you are trying to build a product or a technology on top of it. You have a lot of product and services. There is a lot of opportunity that you have. And if you are trying to build business on top of that, which could actually become a software as a service, and then you can sell that. Or last but not the least, you can actually build a certification on an online assessment company who can actually train people on that. So you can decide what you want to do, and this is up to you to decide how you wanted to take it up, right? So this was an article which I read from HBR. So these are the software languages. Even today, a good developer on C is kind of having a great opportunity. So these are the languages that we have. These are the top 10 jobs that we are looking at. I'm sure all of these are actually something that we hire in Dun & Bradstreet, being a data company. What I always urge, in fact, whenever I'm actually having a talk with IIT or any of the students and all of that, my urge is that don't only look at your college or the university to kind of give you all this, right? There are a lot of avenues, like I'm a very great fan of edX and Udemy University, and also the Coursera, which is a favorite of mine. So look at what are those free learning that you can go through, and you have to channelize. It's just not about having 150 certification. Doesn't work in that way, right? So you have to gain deeper understanding of one or two certifications or technologies that you would want to invest on. My suggestion to you is pick up one one or two future technologies. Try to see how it is coupled with software engineering, and do some certifications and do some smaller projects which can actually make you to gain a lot more understanding of this particular project. Right? I will be sharing this presentation, so don't worry about kind of noting down and all of that. I just wanted you to understand from where I'm coming from, so that you understand where I'm actually understanding, the thought topic that I just wanted to kind of fill it up. What is corporate expecting? Obviously, this is a research paper that I was mentioning. We expect 4 types of skills from you. One is critical skills, which is creativity, critical thinking, cognitive flexibility. From a future skills, as I said, we would want you to have one of those skills, at least from an understanding point of view. From a functional skills, I would want you to understand basics of design thinking, stakeholder management, project management. I know these are something that you will start doing it when you join an organization, but having a clear understanding of this even before you join will make corporates feel that you are the person that needs to be invested on. I repeat that again, right? Social skills, we all know communication plays an important role, problem solving. I know the future, the panelists who will come along with me will also talk about the social behavior that you need to display on terms of that, and networking and CSR. Society has given a lot to us, right? So what is that you are doing to the society? And I always give an opportunity to somebody who has done some projects to the society with the technology, right? Then that makes me feel that, okay, this person is also thinking that he or she is part of society, and he also want to do something for the society. That's actually a good music to the ears that we are hearing, and we would also want to give some opportunity to them. This is a Maslow triangle kind of a thing that I've built as part of the research. So any company would want you to understand how a team works. You need to have a great business communication skills and initiatives, and analytical thinking, obviously soft skills, and what's trending versus what's in it for me. Like, very, very important concept. There will be things like RPA, AI, ML, cloud, and all of that, but there will be something which will suit your interest, suit your profile, suit your behavior. Please pick up that, and don't just because there are all are trending, don't invest your time and effort on all of that. Then you need to expect we expect you some kind of planning and organizing skills, software skills, obviously the Javas of the world, Pythons of the world, and any decision that you're taking, please have data back of your mind. Commercial awareness, at your experience, I would expect you to understand maybe how companies are making money, what is the concept of gross margin, what is the concept of business finance, to an extent of basics. That's all. I don't expect you to know beyond that. Then public speaking, whenever you get this opportunity to do this, please do that, because once you are into the corporate, you will be allowed to give a presentation to the corporate about some of those things that you have. And if you have some lacking of the skills, even though you have a technical knowledge about the project, I think you will lose a lot. So that's something that you need to look at. Stakeholder management, I'll spend some time on that in my next slides, and even project management. And have a research mindset. So don't ever think that research is something, a connotation towards a PhD person. No, that's not the way. Research is a way of life for all the engineers, right? So have a research mindset in all the things that you want to do, and you can do some design thinking certification, which is trending very well. And finally, constantly innovate your knowledge that you have acquired, and constantly challenge your knowledge with the projects that you're doing. If you are able to understand this particular slide in a way, I would expect that my talk is actually kind of it's a fruitful talk kind of a thing, right? So all of this is fine, but if you don't have being on time, right? So it was important for us to kind of start this on time. You need to have a great work ethic. You need to have an effort, body language, effort, and energy. All of these are not taught in any schools or any colleges, right? So this is something that you have to have as an attitude, ability, and all of that. And it was an interesting paper by HBR. It said that education only can give you 10% knowledge. Some of those knowledge that you get through networking and some bit of collaboration can get you 20%, which means that with an engineering certificate that you're going into the market, you are just ready with, say, 30%. What takes you to get into the 70% is cross-functional teamwork. You being a software engineer can you collaborate with a mechanical engineer or a civil engineer and create an electrical vehicle? That's a great project to be working on. I'm just talking about one of those kind of things, right? Then your internships, right? So I have come across a person who has done 17 internships in the 4 years, and I was like super excited, and he was always talking about different technologies and all of that, and apparently he's sitting on 34th offer as we speak today. So I'm not telling you that is directly proportional to your expertise and all of that, but look at what that person has gained working with 16, 17 internships. Though it are smaller, but it is more impactful. So that is what you need to gain. That is what actually makes you to think about your knowledge, because what you read on book versus what you do on paper and what you actually go and execute, they will have some connotation of changes. When you do it on yourself, that's when you know the technology very well. I just said,
I'm really sorry to interrupt, but I think everyone's seeing the same slide that is titled, "Did someone say this?"
The first slide actually. So
Okay.
sorry.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me just share it again. I'll reshare it again, okay?
Sure,
Yes,
Vishwanadh.
So,
Can you see the slide now?
Yes. Who are in demand is the slide you're on right now.
Okay, so let me just quickly glance through. I'm sure, anyway, most of the commentary was given by me. Then I was on this slide where we talked about future lies on this technology adoption. Then I was talking about subject matter expertise and who are on demand. Then we jumped on to which are those programming languages and how do we acquire those as part of your journey. Then we got into the slide which talks about what as a corporate we were expecting from you, from in terms of critical skills, future skills, social skills, and functional skills. And this is a slide that I am very happy about to share, and it talks about from teamwork to innovation, where the journey goes through business communication, analytical thinking, soft skills, commercial awareness, project management, stakeholder management, public speaking, research mindset, design thinking, and finally innovation. So when I expect when I say something about this, it is just not about the deeper understanding. It is about definitions and some bit of applications. That's all. Because in the current job market, there are so many people available with all of these skills, and if you are not having these additional skills, that will actually become a little more challenging for you in terms of getting into the top job that you wanted to be part of, right? And this is a very favorite slide of mine. While you're trying to acquire and you're trying to do some certifications and all of that stuff, if you don't have a great work ethic or effort or body language or attitude, passion, all of that you're trying to build on top of it will be superficial. So please ensure that your foundation is very, very strong, where you're loyal to yourself. I think you need to be sincere to yourself before you being sincere to others, and then build the foundation very, very strong, so that on top of that, if you are building any technology like a Python, artificial intelligence, machine learning, data science, or RPA, it will actually have a great foundation, because your foundation is very, very strong. Then we are talking about, let me go to the full screen mode. Just tell me if you are able to see. Are you able to see this now?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah. So this is a very basic slide. So it starts with if somebody says that, okay, I know about project management. It talks about initiation, planning, execution, monitoring, and control. According to me, you are in. I think this is what I expect from you. So what happens is a project management that you do, a simple project that you have done in your project in a college, all of that is the same, right? So that is what we need to look at. From a knowledge area, there are several knowledge areas. What is the scope of this project? What is the timeline of this project? What is the cost involved in this project? who are the resources, how do we do communication management, and is there an element of procurement? Do we need to procure something to do this project, or what is the risk element into this, what is an environmental issue in that, and finally how is that we can define the quality and stakeholder management. So if you're able to just at a high level give this context to a person like us in the industry, I think we'll be more than happy to kind of hire you, because we feel that beyond subject technology and all of that, you are also showing some interest in terms of your experience into project management. So stakeholder management, when you join an organization like us or any other organization, I think you will have a lot more people that you have to interact with. So identifying who are the stakeholders, analyzing, prioritizing, and engaging, and communication very often actually makes you to be a good stakeholder. You have to set your expectation every time, review the expectation again and again as you are going through the project, and finally act on that, and if required reset the expectation, right? So that is how you look at it. From a design thinking standpoint, design thinking is a very interesting word given by authors, like people who have actually somebody. If you can think about little creatively and then understand how you can solve a problem and make it a product, that is what is design thinking, right? So you understand whether the idea that I have, is it having a business visibility, a viability, and do you think the people will buy that? And most importantly, for the product or say technology or the solution that I'm trying to build, do you have technology which can actually enable that? So if you merge all of that, and design thinking is one area where your intuition and analytical thinking, which is your left brain and right brain, talks to each other. So you just start thinking about this, because this can be one of those questions that can land up into you, and I don't want you to say that I have no idea about it, right? So it starts with, how do you do that? It starts with empathy. Empathy here is not about the empathy that you generally hear in HR context. Empathy here means that, do you really know what you want to solve, right? Then you define the problem, then you ideate, and then you make a prototype. You seeing is dead, because I don't want you to complete the whole thing and then go and fail in the market. When you create a prototype, you create a smaller version of it, try to test in the market and see whether it is working, and then finally get into the whole life cycle, right? So DSLC stands for design thinking life cycle, right? So these are the top 10 skills according to one of those international journals. So I would want to leave it with you. Most importantly, critical thinking is one of my favorite, apart from emotional intelligence and judgment and decision making. You will have a lot of people who will be able to kind of give you the guidance. So please have one or two industry mentors to kind of give you some guidance about it. It will be great. Having friends in the industry will really help you to understand what they're going through, and then you are becoming ready for the industry, right? Every 15 years, I'm sure when I was graduating, my colleagues in the panel will know, when I was graduating, SAP and testing was a great skill. Everyone, even software development, right? So if you have some knowledge about it, you are in the job. But today it's not anymore. So every 10-15 years there is a change, right? So according to Deloitte, it says that by 2030 there are roles like ethical sourcing manager. Some of the roles are already available, by the way. Personal data manager, fitness commitment counselor, right? So it's not about coaching people to get into fitness. It's about commitment. How do you counsel them and all of that? And man machine teaming manager, very, very interesting concept, right? There's an article, right? It said that human beings are extremely efficient. They are working very fine. Technology, which is AI, is extremely efficient. It is working, but you need a machine, you need a person who is you, who can actually make these two work together to create a universal solution, right? Personal memory creator, data detective. Gone out those days. You have to analyze. Sometimes you have to say that this data is wrong. Maybe I don't believe in this data type. That is the kind of detectiveness that you would have. Chief design officer, right? It's not a chief technology officer. The design element has to have larger this thing. Chief trust officer. Today, that is something that is missing in all of us, indirectly, directly, kind of thing. And financial wellness coach. I think you're already seeing this in some of the corporate relationship and all that. And cyber city analyst. So just have a understanding of what these roles are, and if you feel that these are the roles that you would want to futuristically look at yourself, start working on those certifications and all of that, and you will be one of those early adopters. And we all know what happens to those early adopters, right? They create history. So you have an opportunity to do that. So please invest your time and effort on that. So who is an ideal candidate for a company, right? So what happens is when I'll just give an example, right? So when we float an opportunity like a Python developer, right? So we get 500 applications, right? All these 500 people know the company very well and know the job well. But out of 500 people, only 200 people are very technically and they have functional knowledge, right? On top of it, maybe 100 people have also the social skills and networking skills and all of that stuff. Out of the 100 people, 10 people might know, they also understand stakeholder management, project management, and all of that stuff. Out of the 10 people, 5 people know, multitasking, complex problem solving, and they have done multiple internships and all of that. They understand the industry a little better. Out of these 5 people, only one person is thoroughly a research oriented person. He or she will actually put a lot of focus on data element, understanding the problem a little better and solving it. This is the person that we are looking at, and that is the reason why you see some companies floating 150 200 kind of opportunities, and thousands of people apply, but they don't get any this thing, because that is what the organizations are looking at. So please focus on this slide. As I said, I will share these slides with you, but that is what the ideal candidate we are looking at. Hack your way. When you're a software engineer, just don't get involved only into software. Understand the business analytics element of it, project management element of it, agile element of it, something to do with testing element of it. That's when you will actually become a T-shaped learner. Build the technical functional acumen, refine success measures. Every time you have to look at somebody, if for example, we have one panelist from Google, right? If Google is one of those companies that you're aspiring for, understand how Google recruits software engineers, and what are the elements that are required, and what is the lack that you have, and start working with people in the industry to kind of bridge that gap. And finally, networking and follow role models, and these people can actually land you into the dream job that you're looking at, right? So sitting idle at home and then thinking that somebody will come, that's not the case anymore. So you have to be a little more socially amicable, and maybe talking to people, understanding how they can help you types, right? So that is what it is. I will also spend some time on how do we make a great resume. Be very, very transparent, avoid irrelevant information. Spell checks are absolutely no. Highlight your achievements in terms of your projects and all that you have done with facts and some kind of data, and academics with grade and percentages, and also always be reverse chronological, right? Your BE comes first, then your SSC and all of that stuff, and your project that you have done has to really talk about. Your project talks about your ability in technology, in skill and domain. So please remember how to kind of ensure that you represent your resumes. Most importantly, companies like us actually use an applicant tracking system, which actually parses a lot of your data into the system. And if you don't see the way that we are looking at things, and you might not even be get shortlisted, right? So please ensure that what is required by the organization is what your resume should look like. And there's the latest I think I'm sure many of you know that, right? So some companies, in fact, we are starting to think about a video resume. And most of the companies are using analytic. There is a product called applicant tracking system. So we have a JD which kind of parses on the resume, and it looks at the match, and then that tells us that, okay, please Vishwa, please go ahead with these 3 resumes out of these 100 resumes, kind of thing. So it's important to actually spend some time on what is written on the JD, and how do you elevate that content on your resume, not just adding whatever it's not there in your profile. 1-page resume or max 2-page. And finally, GitHub Stack Overflow links along with LinkedIn link will actually make your profile look better than others. So this is what I have. So networking, as I said, you can follow companies that you would want to be part of. You will have some college seniors. Please talk to them. Your work colleagues, if you have, you have to have mentors that I was talking about. Chat and follow them. You follow some of the role models. Read some articles of your interest, and always also contribute some writing on that. And then finally, if you are feeling that these are the 5 companies that I would want to go after, no harm in actually connecting to the recruiters and connecting to the senior level people. You never know, some of them will respond, and you may be getting into the job that you are aspiring for. So please be a little more socially aware, And I encourage people to kind of come up to me on LinkedIn and say that, hey, I saw this opportunity and I think that I'm a great candidate for this. I all that I need is an interview process. That's all. So I have actually sent a note to my team, and they have looked at it, and then they've actually also got an opportunity with us. So that's what I'm looking at. So please do spend some time. And we all know we are in a virtual mode. I think this will continue for almost whatever it is. I don't want to put the date and time. So it's important for you to kind of understand how you can crack the interview in virtual, which is eye to eye contact, and your facial expressions is very, very important. Be at calm, and then ensure that you are understanding what they're expecting from you, and showcase your talent in those direction, right? Remember this research which was done way back, I think 1985, 90. 7% is only verbal, 38% is actually vocal, and 55% is non-verbal. Your body language will tell me whether you're not talking, but your body language will tell me whether you are the right person to this job or not. So please pay attention to your body language. So professional dressing, I'm sure even though in your PC, I think professional dressing is a good to have. Eye to eye contact, you make that, and getting too excited often doesn't make any sense. I think you will actually lose out on something. And ensure that you maintain a certain okay, maintain certain frequency modulation throughout the discussions, right? So from the beginning to now, you have seen me maintaining certain frequency, right? So don't get too excited and start shouting. Don't get too demotivated when you get a question which is not what you are looking at. So try to maintain certain frequency modulation. Hand gestures are good, but don't do too much. And finally, listening. And this is a great suggestion for all of you. Please do kind of capture what the expectations from the company in terms of the question, and if you have any clarification, please ask the clarifying question, and not end up in answering something which is totally tangential in the direction that we are looking at. So please pay attention to that. So there are 4 or 5 ways companies assess you. One is they assess you on problem solving, and we assess you on why, what analysis, why this technology, why that domain kind of a thing. We use some of the tools like HackerRank and all of that to kind of assess people. There are T models. While we are looking at breadth, we also would want to look at depth in one of the areas, if not all the areas. And STAR model, very interesting model for all of you, which is what was your project, what was your role in the project, what did you do in this project, how did you land up in this kind of situation, what did you do to that, and ensure that what was the final outcome and what is the result. And after 6 months, 1 year that you are meeting me, if you have to go back and do the same thing, what would be your learning? If your answer is I would have done the same thing, then I think it is telling that you are not learning, right? So these are the questions that are posed to you, so please be ready with that. And how to crack a virtual interview, power dressing, I said, understand the latest things about the company, sitting posture, knowing the interviewer even before you can do that. If you can do some googling about it, will really help. We all expect, my colleagues will also say yes, right? So we are okay to listen to any refining questions that you have, but not going tangential. And finally, don't ask this question that I don't know which role I have applied and all of that. I don't know the JD that I've applied. I've just come for an interview kind of thing. You have to have complete knowledge in all of these aspects. And finally, tone, mood, and your excitement has to be contained. Yes, and then you have to show a great body language composure at the same time. But you also need to see how you have to kind of show your emotions and all of that. So I'm going to my last slide. So also paying attention to what is changing in the industry, in the technology world. How is the impact of the change for you, and what is your response for the change, and managing adoption curve, right? For example, you are seeing that you are very, very good at Java, and then finally a Java a new version has come. So how do you want to learn that and all? That's what I'm trying to tell you in this particular slide. So last few slides, I know there's a lot happening on negativity, but try to see the positive side of it, because as a student, it is very easy to get distracted. So just don't get into that. Diversion to dedication. From an emotional person that, I've lost 4 opportunities, how can you be more practical, saying that, okay, 5th opportunity is mine? And being theoretical is good, but applying logical, analytical thought process to theoretical knowledge will always help. And finally, distract into direction. There are so many things which will actually distract you. How can you kind of be dedicated? And all of that will come when you only will take a pencil or a pen and start writing and start doing some kind of analysis and all of that stuff. This is my favorite slide, and this is almost a research kind of a paper that I'm also going to publish. You will decide where you will go, right? It's not somebody else who decides on behalf of you. If you have a great problem solving skills, you have good experience in software development and good soft skills, any of the tier 1 services companies will hire you. I don't want to mention the names of the companies because the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 is the way we mention it, but it's not the way it is there, right? Then on top of it, Vishwa, I'm actually better than that is what your question is. Then I would say learn full stack development, learn project management, and agile and UI development and basics of data science. Any tier 1 software product company would want to hire you. On top of it, hey, I'm actually better than that. Then you should have an innovation paper. Even in engineering, you should have done a commendable job or a failed venture startup. Any internet company will come and hire you, right? So you decide where you want to be, right? I have this favorite concept called SFDC, subject, which is Java, Python, or whatever it is. Any of the future technology, which is AI, ML, cloud, and all of that. Domain, you need to have some knowledge about what is domain, like retail, e-commerce, banking, pharma, any domain. And finally, core skills, which is analytics, creativity, and project management, right? So you decide where it's only you have to decide what you will be doing in your future. So please take care of your future. With that, I think my sincere thought process is either you modify your dreams that okay, I'm a mediocre person and I live a life of mediocre person, or you magnify your skills. You have no choice. Thank you very much. Thanks, Ambika and team, and I'm open to any questions if you guys have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was very enlightening. In fact, it answered most of our questions. But I have to, may I ask you
Yes, please
two
go.
questions? So what we've heard is that in our peer circle, these technical papers and patents usually push a resume towards higher education and not software engineering. So what would you say, sir? How would it affect our resume if we added, say, a patent or a technical paper on it?
Absolutely. So I think this is a trap question that people will ask you. And casually the question will be, hey, I see a lot of patents or maybe technical publication that you have done. So are you inclined towards what is it called, higher education? Without you knowing, your head will say yes, right? And that is when we take that as a clue, and we might say that okay, this is an important opportunity for us. I don't think we can actually offer you. So right, while that is there, you have to be very cognizant about what you're answering, right? So I'll give you an example, right? So it was very recently, 3 days back, when we had this kind of situation. This guy was very clear. Vishwa, 4 years is what I want to work, and I want to go to my masters, and this is an area that I would want to do my masters. Very clear. I said, okay, 4 years. In this terminology, like somebody works for 3 years itself is a great thing. And somebody says 4 years. I said, okay, go, come in. So you have to, that's where I think we have to be very careful, right? So please do understand that the people on the other side of the table have seen millions and millions of people. They understand even though you're not talking, right? So that is where you have to be a little more cognizant of how you represent yourself.
And Vishwanath, I think one of your slide also mentioned transparency. So as part of the resume, right? So that adds to it. That clearly adds to what your code.
Thanks, Girish. Thanks for chipping in. Thank you very much. So as I said, I'll leave those slides to you because this is anyway a research that I've done, and I'm sure if one of you change your methodology of life from now on, I think that my day is taken care. And more than that, I'm not even looking at all of you to change. But if all of you change the way you're looking at things, I'll be overwhelmed with my this thing. But yes, that's the only thing. I have my LinkedIn page open. You guys can actually put some questions on that. I'll be more than happy to answer. And looking forward for future kind of discussions with Ambika and team. And with the elite panel, I'm sure you will have a lot more learnings. And I'm looking forward for that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was really enlightening. It busted a lot of myths as well.
Yes.
That we had in our heads so far.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to know, would you be staying back for the meet, or do you want to
I have a hard stop at 12:30. 7 more minutes I'll be there.
Sure.
And people can ask me any questions. I know that my time was only 20 minutes, but I have taken 35 minutes. I'm also cognizant that my other panelists are kind of holding on to them, so please give them that opportunity. And guys, thank you very much for this. Look forward for all of you to kind of do what you want to do. One last thing, I always believe that having all that you want to do without having fun doesn't make any sense. Please also do have some fun for yourself. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Then we can move on to our next speaker. Just a second. Next, we have Mr. Sourav Narayan. He's an experienced senior manager with the skill of talent acquisition and has experience in program management office with a demonstrated history of working with the IT and services industry. He is skilled in customer relationship management, vendor management, business planning and development, and strategic planning. We now request Mr. Sourav to give us a bit of guidance. Thank you, sir.
Hi, good afternoon. Am I audible to everyone? That's the first question we ask these days everywhere whenever we log in. Am I audible? Am I visible? These are two statements. It's become very common. So thank you so much, Ambika, and thanks the BMSIT team for giving this opportunity. It feels so good coming back to the next gen people and talking to them, right? It makes you feel younger actually, right? And staying at home is making us feel older every day. So when you interact with the next gen, you start feeling very young in your mind and fresh as well. All right, so my topic has been what I talked to Dr. Ganesh and what he said that speak about the employability in pandemic, talk about how the virtual process is happening and what are the expectation from the organizations, right? That's how I'm going to do my talking. But I will limit my talking and I would really prefer to get more questions from all of your side. Maybe my esteemed panels can ask me questions or the students or maybe from the faculty side because I would like to have it more interactive than me talking one side, right? So, as you know, we are passing through a very critical time of our life. Like we never thought, maybe 2 years back, also, maybe at this time in 2019, I would to Ambika, when can I come to your college to do a pre-placement talk? When can we come and do the hiring at your college, right? And maybe what my now we are doing is I'll call up Ambika and said, Ambika, hey, this is the time I'm doing the virtual session, right? So it has been a life changer, and hey, it's still not over with whatever happening all around us, wave one, wave two. Now people are talking about wave three. We really don't know when it's going all this is going to come to an end and when I can step out of my house without wearing a mask, right? Uh, if the vaccination drives are going on in good full force, that's also a good sign that yes, people are getting more equipped to handle these things. But we need to survive in these things. We need to fight back and we need to move on in our life with all those things, right? So the and the other thing, what has happened is this because of this pandemic, a lot of industries has taken a very big hit. You talk about I hospitality industries, the hotels, the restaurants. You talk about the aviation sector. People used to fly. Like I, as a HR professional, would be flying 3 to 4 days in a week. I've been going to various colleges, meet people, and all those things. But last 1 and 15 months, I'm just sitting on my sofa and meeting everyone virtually, right? So those aviation sectors have taken a hit, the hospital sector have taken a hit. But one thing which has grown over the 1 year is the IT industry. It was always doing well. And thankfully, with God's grace and the kind of environment that we could create, this industry has stood tall among all these fiascos, creating millions and zillions of opportunity for everyone, whether it's a fresh out of college, or it's a lateral or an experienced guy with whatever technology he's experienced with. But IT industry, with all its the kind of infrastructure or the kind of uh, environment we had created, it has stood very, very tall, and it is providing immense scope in about employability in these pandemic times, right? But still, while the scope is coming in, right, everyone has to be prepared well. Okay, and it has to be a basically a collaboration between a company, corporate, college, students, right? No one can work in silo and build up a good environment of employment across the organizations or across the country. And it's not pertaining to India, it's globally. This is very much applicable globally, right? Because Capgemini, being a French company, we work in 40 plus countries across the globe, right? And we have close to 3 lakh people working for us from multicultural, right? That's what we see phenomena here. And so what I'm talking is on a international perspective as well. So a college, a student, and organization has to work in harmony to create a right situation, a right platform for a fresher to move into the next step, right? Pertaining to the virtual system, how have we done it, right? So we last year when this hit us, right, we were all taken off guard. We were caught on wrong foot, right? Suddenly in March, everything started closing down with the expectation that things will improve very soon. We will come back to office, but in 15 days, 20 days, it started getting extended, right? So thankfully, could build a very robust virtual platform network, which helped us a student from starting from its registration to application to a pertaining permanent particular job to come for an assessment through that platform and finish his technical and HR interview. We could build a very robust platform which actually helped us in doing assessments during the campus time, hiring of about assessments of close to 1 lakh students, and which helped us in hiring about 20,000 odd candidates from the freshers community. Last last year the business was very conservative in terms of giving their demands because they did not know how the business would or the other side of the business would react to, right? But slowly moment people started getting adjusted to the new situation, the demand is going up, which is a very good sign for an people for IT company. The businesses from the customers are looking for more solutions, more technology oriented result oriented activities from our side. So a lot of scopes are coming out, and hence the business is also enlarging or widening their aspects. And we are doing more and more hiring. Like if I can talk about while we talk right now, my team is working on a lot of campus activities. Even right, I got about 2 lakhs more registrations, and I've already hired close to about 8-10,000 people already, and I have 15-20,000 interviews still which need to be done. What I'm trying to say is, yes, it is negative all around, but things are positive. And as my previous speaker said, right, we need to see the positive side. We need to live through it. We need to come out of it and move on in our life, right? So that's in terms of the virtual process that we have put up in place. Now comes to a students, right? What is expected from a student? Please understand, uh, these are difficult times for you as a student. You're missing of your college life. You're all working in studying in silos at your homes, right? The bonding, the camaraderie that you have with your friends, right? The midnight burning the midnight oil, you would stay up together doing the projects and all, would give you a different feeling. And it's a very difficult time as a student, right? I see my son who's in class 10. His class 9, class 10 has gone in waste. He's been sitting at home for the last 1.5 years now. And I don't see that he's going to go back to school anymore this year as well, right? So next year, he's supposed to appear for his class boards exam, the first critical exam of his life, and that to sitting at home. So as a student, I have my heart goes out to you all. You're missing the, and some, as my previous speaker said, you're missing the fun quotient in your learning aspect as well, right? And as Capgemini, if you see my value chain, out of my 7 value funds, fun plays a very critical role, right? So these are difficult times for you. So you have to, what you need to do is you have to be very self-motivated, right? You have to be a self-teacher or self-motivator, so that in absence of a proper classroom learning, you can plan or pace your learning so that you're updated and you're not lacking behind. Please understand that when you come for a technique, when you interview, or and I'm taking into consideration that you're clearing your assessments and everything, you're coming for an interview, those 15-20 minutes are very critical time in your life, because it's very difficult to convince a person in this 15-20 minutes, right? I've been married for 20 years. I still don't know how to convince my wife. Forget those 15-20 minutes with a technical panel, right? So, uh, so you have to be well prepared. And as you see, and I'm sure you all know Shah Rukh Khan. There's an ad that he does very well, right? Some perfume ads where he says that the word preparation comes before success, even in dictionary, right? So to achieve success, you have to prepare yourself very well. Maybe you prepare yourself alone because or virtual world with your friends. Because those 15-20 minutes, and as you remember the dialogue in the movie, I don't know whether you've seen the movie called Chak De, that 70 minute, right? Those 70 minutes he was emphasizing to the team player that they have to perform. So this 15-20 minutes become very critical for you. So please be specific about your learnings. Please be specific of what you've learned in the colleges. Know your subjects very well. Forget whether you're a mechanical engineer or you're electronics engineer or a computer science engineer. Forget that. Don't keep that mind block. End of the day, you are an engineer, right? Use your engineering mind. Use your analytical mind. Use your problem solving skills. Because no panel would expect that you will come with an ocean of knowledge. That's our responsibility. That's our, as an industry person, that's my responsibility to train you, make you as per my requirement so that you can deliver the organization requirements, right? But when you come to the interview, you should show that kind of interest or that learning flexibility to the panel. Give him that confidence. Hey, I am here to adapt or absorb anything that you give to me, so that tomorrow you put me into any kind of situation, I'll be able to come out of that. And as the previous panel says, that all the panels or all of us have been in your position maybe 15 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years back, right? So we've been there, done that, right? So we know those things. Don't try to say something which you have not done. If you have not done anything, be clear about it. Okay, I have not done anything, or I've made a mistake. A panel would like to know, if you have made a mistake, how do you plan to come out of that mistake, right? Because that's very critical. It's very common. We all make mistakes. We all falter in our life. But if you keep repeating, that's a problem. But if you learn from the mistake and try to come out of it, that's exactly what a tech panel who's there. Because it's very difficult for a panel to judge in 15-20 minutes or maximum half an hour whether I'm picking the right resource for my organization. Because end of the day, he's also accountable. He's also answerable to his leadership, that I have picked up 5 guys and this is the quality of 5. Because if something goes wrong with the candidate, his leadership may question him. Hey, you've gone there, you've hired this candidate, but on what grounds, right? Uh, Other critical aspect is your emotional skills, right? Because once you're joining the organization, you are supposed to be working virtually. I have 3 members who joined my team last year, June. I have still not able to meet them, right? So it's very difficult. They're coming to a new organization, new setup. Though we may do a virtual induction program for you, we may do virtual learning sessions for you. All those things will be done from the organization. Organization will leave, so as we say, no stone unturned for any fresher. But your emotional quotient will play a very critical role, because you're not going to meet your manager every day. When you're in the office location, you tend to meet your manager, you tend to meet your team members, understand from them, understand from your senior colleagues how the company works, how the organization works, and you can adjust accordingly, right? But in a virtual situation, you're connecting with your team maybe on a video call every day, or once in 2 days, or once in 3 days, right? Or you're talking to your manager maybe once in a day. So you have to adapt to those kind of sessions that you have. So you need to work on your emotional skills, right? The previous speaker says, your soft skills are very critical, and along with the soft skills, I give a very important on emotional quotient. You have to be calm, composed. You can show reactions, because it's very easy to lose reactions when you're talking over phone with someone or talking on the internet, right? But you can't show that kind of reaction when you're meeting someone face to face, right? So I, as a leader, have to be very careful. If you ask me as a leader, right? when I'm interacting with my team, I'm very careful in the kind of words that I'm expressing because they're not able to see me most of the time. They're just hearing me. And I have to come out well as a leader in front of them, giving them that confidence. Hey, I'm there to support you all. Right. So these are some of the thoughts that I had in mind in terms of the topic that was given to me. I did not have any kind of presentations, but I would really, really want people to come up with questions, and please feel free to ask me questions because that's where I think I can share my knowledge well with you and share the as a industry person or a representing organization like Capgemini, what are the expectations, what all we need to do to go to a better future. And my point of advice to all of you, never refuse an opportunity, right? Scopes are there, but don't say that I don't want to do this, I want to do that. Don't get into that kind of mindset. Grab any opportunity to come to you, right? Your entire life is there for you, entire career is there for you to change roles. As the presenter said, that if you look at my you go to LinkedIn, if you see my profile, I'm into hiring profession for the past 5 years. Before that, I've never done hiring. I had been in the delivery organization. I was handling clients. Before that, I come from a sales background. I have done pre-sales for an IT company, talking to customer overseas and all. So I have moved on as and when opportunities have come, I have grabbed those opportunities and I've enjoyed every one of it, right? Everything was a learning experience for me, right? So my humble advice to you that I would do like to do only coding. I'm a computer engineer. I would like to do only coding, or I don't want to do a testing job. Don't. I would like to be in only in data sciences. Don't have this. Life will throw you a lot of opportunities. These would be all your learning experiences right now. So never let go an opportunity. I've seen a lot of students, and I keep telling them they're very clear what they don't want to do. Right? I don't know, Ambika, if you would support me, but you have handled more students than me. You a lot of students I've seen, they know they very well, they know that they know what they don't want to do. But you ask them, what do you want to do in life? Then they get they falter back, right? You need to learn well, keep your basics very strong, then you go up in the ladder chain, right? So never and some organization is to give an ad, right? Never miss an opportunity. So that's my last point to all of you as a fresher. Never miss an opportunity. Grab what comes to your way, learn from that, and move on. All right. This is something which I had to share with you all, and please let me know if you feel free to ask questions right now or maybe at the end of the session as per the what the moderator wants things. But thank you so much. That's what I had to share with you.
Thank you, sir. That was a really enlightening speech. Um, I have pretty interesting questions from the attendees here. We're all stuck in a pandemic, and they want to know how the pandemic has changed the expectations of recruiters when it comes to fresher hiring.
All right. So, see, the first change which has come is in a physical presence and a virtual presence. When a recruiter, as is in your college location, right, having a one face-to-face session with you, they are trying to build up a connect with the candidate. Similarly, the candidate also try to build up a connect, and it becomes very easy when you're in a physical environment, right? But in a virtual world, the connectivity can differ. The connectivity can be a problem. The student may not be heard properly. The panel may not be audible clearly, not visible. So these are challenges, right? So whenever you are appearing for a technical interview or interview, please ensure that you have a right set of infrastructure, right? You can join an interview from a mobile. As for Capgemini, we had enabled a mobile-based interview process as well, so that even if you don't have a laptop at home, almost everyone these days, and especially from your generation, has smartphones. You are the best of phones that we can even think of, right? So ensure that you have your infrastructure is correct, so that you are well audible and well visible to the panel who's looking at you, right? And be very specific to what you're saying. Be very specific because a panel is also in a pressure to finish multiple interviews in a certain period of time. He has to ensure that his power should not go out, his internet should not fail, right? His laptop should not crash, right? He has also in his back of mind, right? No matter how best system you can put in, but these things all can go wrong, right? So a panel is also in somewhat of a mental pressure that I need to finish interviews quickly, or I need to at least cover 5 students in next 1 hour, something like that, right? So Be very crisp, to the point, please, and please be specified. And when we come for the interview, right, we want to understand what has been your involvement in your academics, right? Because all of you are fresher. So know your subjects very well. You can be a mechanical engineer, you can be a civil engineer, whatever it is, right? Doesn't matter. End of the day, you're a BE or a BTech person. Some know your subjects well, because a panel would typically ask you about your projects, right? They would try to gauge from that how much was your involvement. Have you been involved in the project? What was your contribution? Are you an individual contributor, or you are work well in the team? These things they have to understand in those interviews when they're doing it, right? So be very clear. A person cannot be champion at everything, right? Either you very people we are very less all rounders in this world. You are either a specialist batsman or a specialist bowler, right? So if you are good as an individual, say I'm an individual contributor. Or if you said I was part of a project team, but this is what I contributed, or I led it, or I was not a leader, I was following someone. There is no harm. Not everyone can be a leader, right? So don't try to say everything and don't try to rush and impress someone, right? Okay. So, and don't have this pressure on your mind itself. This is my last opportunity. Because moment you start thinking that angle, right, you put yourself under tremendous pressure. Go with a very open mind that I am here, this is what I am. If that doesn't work out, you will get umpteen number of opportunities in your way, because end of the day, your education will help you. I don't know. Does that answer the question? Or I confused everyone more?
Yes, sir, that pretty much answers the question. We also have another question. Um, there is a new wave of people only wanting to work from home, and how a preference, either way, some people who only want to work from home or only want to work from office is affecting offers and interviews nowadays. So,
No, 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 nothing like that. Nothing like that. See, we were forced to work from home, right? Because of the situation which hit us a year or 15 months back. But then we realized, and we took some time to adjust to it, right? Like, but now we've realized that we can be equally fruitful, and we can equally deliver, right? As I can ask, if you ask me or my team, right? Last year when the campus hiring season, we did 1 lakh reached into process, and we hired 20,000 people sitting at home, right? So we delivered what we were asked to do, right? So it doesn't matter whether you're offered or you're anything doesn't matter with whether you want to work from home or want to work from office. See, if I ask my company perspective, very limited manpower has been allowed to go to office, because who are absolutely critical to be physically present in office. Otherwise, the customers are also confident. We do a lot of customers, especially from the financial sectors, right? The banking, the industry, the capital markets, right? They've also agreed to the fact we have worked out ways and means to secure our laptops. We have measured, we found out ways to secure our internets working from home, though we are working at home network, but there are ways and means to secure a network. So as of now, yes, when you're joining us, the first batch of virtual onboarding is happening right now. Sorry, the second batch. Last year we started the first onboarding, and this year second onboarding happening. Everyone is expected to be working from home now. They later may say their future locations would be mentioned there. Suppose you have been identified for a project in, say, Chennai, right? Your letter may say Chennai, but you can be in Calcutta and work from Calcutta till the time things become normal and we all feel safe to come out of the house. But your technique as per papers will be Chennai. You can be in Kashmir also. No one's going to ask you that, right? As long as you have, and we are ensuring that a laptop or a desktop is reaching to the employee, right? It's on the organizations that they're taking care of these aspects. Yes, we need to have a basic internet at your home, and that is also getting reimbursed by the organization these days, right? So it doesn't matter whether you want to work from home or work from office. It has nothing to do with the offer that has been rolled out by the organizations.
thank you, sir. There's one more question. How do we tackle the very tricky strength and weakness questions that come up during an interview? I think no matter how well it is answered, it never gets really clear for us.
So it's basically there's no right or wrong answer. Let me say in strength and weakness. I guess my co-panelists will also agree to it, right? There's no right or wrong answer, right? I can say my strength is that I get hot-headed. I lose my temper very shortly. That can be my strength. So that my teammates may be scared about me. It's not that. It is a panel wants to say how fluently, how confidently you're delivering that message. And you have to, I think, in advance that what do you think is your strength? What do you think is your weakness? Right? So and if you're asked a question around that, you should be able to answer that. So there's no guided lines that this things can be only your strength and this things can be only your weakness, right? Someone's strength can be someone's weakness, or someone's weakness can be someone's strength, right? And because in an organization you have to work in a collaborative environment, right? So please don't have that mind that based on your strength and weakness you get a job or you don't get a job. It is a way of understanding a person. As an industry leader or an industry person, I try to understand a fresher, right? Because when I'm talking to a fresher, I don't have his experience to talk about, right? Because he's coming out just fresh out of college, right? So I need to have certain things to which I can build up a conversation with that person, try to understand that person and take a decision out of it, right? So please clear your mind. There's no right strengths or weaknesses. It's completely up to you how you determine them. But once you determine that this is my strength, this is my weakness, right? Have experiences or have some fruitful points beyond that to justify that why you think that is your strength or why you think that is your weakness, right?
Sir, if you don't mind, I just wanted to add on that.
Yes, please, absolutely, Girish.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Not knowing your strength and weakness is the real weakness, and knowing your strength and weakness is the real strength. Actually,
Brilliant.
that is what they're going to test you for. So nothing else. There is no right or wrong answer, as sir said. But if you go for an interview without knowing your strength and weakness, that will be your weakness. The vice versa will be your strength.
Yeah, excellent. Well put in one line. Absolutely.
So we should know ourselves first so that we can put our best foot forward.
And you should know your weakness as well.
Yes.
So do you mean to say what the weaknesses doesn't matter?
Definitely
Sorry?
true. What the weakness is doesn't matter, or what's the strength doesn't matter actually to the extent of you as an individual. Because like sir said, anything can be argued as a strength versus a weakness. So there's
Exactly.
it person to person, it is dependent, and how you present that strength or a weakness will be termed as strength or weakness. So the terminology doesn't matter, or the verbiage that you use doesn't matter. It's about how confident you are and how well you know about that. If you don't know your strength and weakness, that's why I said that is your real weakness. Sorry sir, thanks for the opportunity.
Yes, that's brilliantly put. Exactly.
Yes, so that makes it very much clearer for us. I think that's the end of the questions for you, Sourav sir. We'll
Thank you
have
so
a
much.
general Q&A at the end. We would hope you stay back for that.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm really liking it. So I will look forward to my other co-panelists what they will say. Because again, we all don't want to miss an opportunity of learning, right? And as I said, self-learning and self-motivation is critical these days. But thank you so much, Ambika and team, for giving this opportunity. And I'm here. Maybe post the sessions, we may have to get some more questions. I would be happy to answer them. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sourav. It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
So we now have Ms. Apurva Udaykumar. Ms. Apurva is an experienced business strategy and operations professional. They passion to develop and help organizations improve their effectiveness and efficiency. She currently leads marketing infrastructure for APAC at Netflix. Apurva is an ardent advocate for creating inclusive workspaces. She believes that inclusion starts with understanding and confronting our unconscious biases and actively working to unlearn them. She volunteers with We Do as a mentor that support an organization that supports young women in realizing their professional potential, and Keynote Women Speakers Directory, which is focused on bringing diversity to stages around the globe. The floor is now yours, Ms. Apurva.
Thank you. I was just I was just thinking the strength and weakness is probably my most dreaded question while preparing for campus. It's been 10 years now, but still it brought dread to me when I heard that interview question. So I empathize with all of you. Thank you so much for having me today. I am a graduate from BMSIT in 2011 batch. It's been 10 years. I don't have a lot of advice specific to campus recruitment just because I haven't been in HR functions and I haven't done campus recruitment in a long, long time. But I have some suggestions around what has worked for me in my career so far and what I look for in grads and interns and just team members that I look to hire now. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. And I also thought I will talk to you a little bit about the different things that you can do in technology, which are not limited to development or QA roles, because my career has now moved very far away from it. But I have always worked in technology sphere in some way or the other. Give me a second. I want to share my screen with you. So. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep. Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
So very briefly, if you look at LinkedIn, this is kind of what my career journey looks like. I graduated in 2011, joined Adobe as a software engineer through campus placement. 2013 went to do my master's. 2015 joined Bank of America in technology, did a lot of roles. Recently took a break for 1 year, which was amazing. And then now I've joined Netflix as the marketing in the marketing organization. So looking at this, you might think, or you might have the expectation that your career is always going to go in a linear way upwards, which might happen for some of you, but for most people, and for me particularly, it was a lot more like this. There were ups and downs, lots of lateral moves across. I've done various different roles before I got to where I am today. And I think I do want to echo what Sourav said, which was don't have a rigid mindset on how your career should go. You will get unexpected opportunities, which you might have never thought you would do, but they will open up doors for you that you will be thankful for later. So that's kind of what my career has been like. After I did my master's, I was very clear that I did not want to write a line of code in my life ever again. So I knew that I was not going to go back to a software engineering role. But the problem was I didn't have experience, I didn't have experience in anything else. So I actually had to take a dip and get onto a graduate program. 4 years after I had graduated from undergrad to do a role with peers who were much younger to me. At the time, it didn't feel great, but it was absolutely the best way forward for me because it introduced me to things. Sorry, my laptop's dying, so I'm just going to plug the charger in. Yeah, so it introduced me to roles and technology which were very suited to my skill sets and where I got opportunities to grow tremendously. So since then, I have worked as a vendor manager, contracting technology contracts, working with vendors, negotiating IT contracts. I worked in risk and control, which is making sure every piece of technology aligns to the laws, rules, and regulations. Worked with audit managers, worked with government auditors. Then I moved on to work as a business manager for technology, where I basically I played governance over the whole P&L of technology. So I managed a budget of $100 million a year. I helped the team set strategy. I helped the team determine what headcount we were going to hire for that year. I would do communications, internal employee communications, stuff like that. So all the while in technology, but not engineering roles. So there's a lot you can do if that's where your interest or your passion lies. It's just about exploring a little bit. Talking about a few things that help me navigate this world and help me navigate the different opportunities. The very first one that I tell anyone who's new is establish your credibility in the organization. It's the basic thing, which is get your stuff done. Whatever is assigned to you, do it on time, and do it as well as you can. Second, if you hit a roadblock, and you always will, try to Google search or do your own research to find an answer first. I had a bunch of interns who would, writing a piece of code, get an error, and their first instinct to come running to me saying that, what do I do? I will show you. I'll open up Google and I'm going to search for the exact same error that you would. I'm not going to do anything different. But if you have already done that step, then for me, I trust you a lot more already, right? So try to search for a solution. If you can't find one, then come and tell whoever it is in your team that you're asking for help that this is all I have done and I still don't have a solution. Can you please give me some advice and guidance? Totally acceptable. And third, sometimes things will not go the way you want it to go. No matter how hard you try, you might fail at something, or you might hit a roadblock where there are dependencies that are beyond your control. And again, that is fine. This will happen. But communicate. Don't wait for your manager to come and ask you. Don't wait for your program manager to ask for a status report or a Scrum meeting to give an update. Just let them know what the problem is and what's the snack. Because together, you might be able to solve it before it becomes an actual problem. All of these, I feel, will help you establish yourself as someone who can be trusted with a project or a task. This is bare minimum. The second advice I have is have a voice. And this is, if you don't remember anything else I say today, then this is what I would love for you to remember, which is ask a lot of questions. The worst thing you can do as an intern or a fresh grad is to sit in meetings, forums, events, and not say a word ever. Don't be a spectator. If you have been invited to a meeting, you're there for a reason. And be sure you're asking the questions that you don't understand. Someone else might have the exact same question as you, or your question could start a whole different conversation, which nobody had thought about. So don't be afraid. Have an informed opinion. So based on everything you're seeing, you're learning, have an opinion. Think about what the solution for a problem can be, and think about why that would be a good solution. It might not be the right answer, but at least we know that you are thinking analytically and you're thinking about solving problems and not waiting to just be given orders to do things. And last one, eventually, learn to disagree respectfully. You might not always agree with your managers or whoever your senior person is or other team members, and that is fine. In all the organizations I've worked with, it's been very important to have different perspectives. That's how we become better. Hearing people call you out on your blind spots is how the solution becomes more holistic when we're trying to solve a problem. So, it's my dog. I'm sorry. So learn to disagree, but very respectfully and with the intention to make things better. So you're not disagreeing just to disagree and contradict someone else, but you're disagreeing to make everyone else better. So third one is to take an initiative, and you might hear a lot of people talk about this: be proactive, take your initiative. And for me, it has very specific connotations. One is go beyond your job scope. And I think Vishwas mentioned this as well, that learn about the business, learn about the industry, learn about the teams that are around you, learn about what they're doing and how this could impact you, your team, and your job scope eventually. Because everything else will. The business strategy is not going to be different from what you have to do. But knowing how the business strategy translates to your job is what you need to do. Second, I always ask people to do this. As much as possible every year, try to set yourself a stretch goal. This is sometimes what we say above and beyond. Everyone today is expected to do what their job is, but people who really shine are the ones who do a little bit more. So identify what that can be for you. Work with your team and your managers to understand where you could be beneficial and set yourself a stretch goal. Third, volunteer. Volunteer for as many things as you can. And by this, I don't just mean CSR activities. Those are great. I still do a ton of them. But volunteer to host team lunches, volunteer to organize events and, engagement activities. If HR is organizing something, be a part of those. These are all great ways to show that you're invested, that you are part of this company, this culture, and you want to really grow within it. But also volunteer for projects and initiatives. So when I got my risk role, it was really because previously there was a big chunk of work related to risk, which nobody really wanted to do. But because I was very interested in it, I just said that I'm going to do it. It's going to take a bit of my extra time, but I'm going to do it. But volunteering for that project showed that I was capable of handling a role like that. And eventually they created a role specifically for me to come and join in. So volunteer for projects in areas that you're interested to grow in. It's one of the fastest ways to get noticed. Finally, build your network. At this stage, you guys all have the ability to go through campus recruitment, and that is great, but it's going to be one of the easiest ways for you to find a job. After this, every next job that you find will really depend on you and your network. So start building that network very early on and pay attention to the kind of network you're building. So starting with your cross-functional partners. If you're in dev, understand and get to know your product manager, your program manager, your QA team, your sales team, finance, all of these people that you work with. It's great to know what they do and how they do it, because if there's ever an opportunity in one of those areas, these are the people who have worked with you. They know already how capable you are. So if there's a role that opens up for a program manager, it's very easy for that team to tap you in if they know who you are, right? So build that network within your own organization. It will help you find new roles and find new challenges. Second, I think both the other panels mentioned this as well. Look for mentors. These typically, I like for my mentors to be someone who's outside of my direct team, who has had a a lot of experience, either in the corporate organization or just generally in life. Someone who I have great chemistry with, so meet a lot of different people, see who you click with. I feel that's very important with a mentor. Your personalities need to match because you want to build a genuine relationship with them. And these are the people you can use as sounding boards for your professional query, right? So build your network, look for mentors. And finally, quality over quantity when it comes to your network would be my biggest advice. 5,000 connections on LinkedIn is great, but if you cannot reach out to any of those connections and get a genuine answer or a favor, it's of no use for you. So try and invest into relationships that you feel most authentic about, and have your connections on LinkedIn, but make an effort. I just from personal experience, I get a lot of messages on LinkedIn. This one also happened because someone reached out. I think Aranya reached out to me on LinkedIn. I check all my messages, but the ones where I'm most invested to reply is where I know clearly the other person is making an effort. So remember, LinkedIn Messenger is not WhatsApp Messenger. I get a ton of hi, hello, how are you? When there are like 10 messages every day and I have like 5 minutes to look at who's texting me there. Those are probably not the ones that I'm going to pay attention to. Then there are very generic emails sometimes students send me. Hi, so-and-so, I'm in my 4th year. I'm looking for a job in IT sector. Here's my resume. Can you please put a referral? Unfortunately, that means I have to sit and first dig in to understand what kind of jobs you want, where you want me to refer you, what your CV and experience is. So if I have to put in so much effort up front, then there's a very high likelihood that I'm not going to be doing it. So it's just because we have very little time in our days, right? So the best way, if you want to reach out to someone in LinkedIn, especially someone you don't know very well, I would suggest is to write it as an email saying that, hi, I am from BMSIT, so you were an alumni, or hi, I'm interested in XYZ company, so you're in recruitment there. Here is the role specifically that I'm interested in. Here is a gist of my background and why I think I would be suitable for it. I'm also attaching my CV if you want details. Could you please either help me put in a referral or be available for a chat so we can talk about this role? This for me now is very clear. I know exactly what you need from me. I know that you want 30 minutes of my time and I would be happy to commit to it. So be very clear and very specific about what you want. Even if you just want someone to help you understand more about the role, for me, reach out to me saying, hey, I'm very interested in Netflix as an organization. I want to learn about your culture. Can you please talk to me for 15 minutes? Totally great question to ask, and in most likelihood I will say yes, and I feel that most people would be inclined to say yes and help out as well. It just depends on how you're asking that question. So that was my a little bit of advice on how to use LinkedIn. That's what I've been doing so far, so I hope that helps. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm happy to take questions if there are any.
So that was a great talk. You put things so simply and in an effective way. One thing we noticed when we were going through your LinkedIn was that you mentor young women to reach their professional potential, right? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So I work with this organization called WeDo. It's an NGO. They're based in a couple of countries, but basically what the idea is that there are a lot of very high potential young women in especially in different developing countries and APAC, that don't get the same level of awareness and opportunity that we might, with things like these events, right? So what we does is they work with local schools to identify those rising stars, and then they match them with industry professionals based on what the women's professional aspirations are. And then we work through 8 months of mentorship program where we talk through different challenges. We talk about opportunities, how to how do you conduct yourself in a corporate world, how can you apply for jobs, how do you write your resume, just general mentorship as well for some women. So
we also have a question from one of our attendees. They're asking, do you have any tips on how to prepare for the FANG companies? And can you tell more about your journey to Netflix? Because from BMSIT to Netflix is a big leap. So
yeah, for again, I want to caveat everything saying that it's been a while since I applied for roles in India. So please adapt anything that I say for the circumstances there as well. But for me, generally what has seen while speaking with the likes of Google and Facebook, and I've interviewed with all of them, a big focus is on their culture. All of these companies have a very, very specific culture, a culture that they are very proud of. So at Netflix, I went through 11 rounds of interviews. All 11 was to see if I'm a good cultural fit for the company. So there wasn't a single technical question of any sort. Of course, I had a lot of work experience by then. So questions were around my experience and how I handle situations. But as you grow further, that's an area that you should pay a lot of attention to, that what is important to them. Diversity and inclusion might be important to them. Teamwork, transparency, taking responsibility and ownership, all of these things might be important. Read their culture and prepare examples for each of the things. If they say working in a team is what we honor the most, then have concrete examples of where you worked well in a team. Pay attention to your CV. I think our first panelist mentioned this. ATS systems are are what sometimes are going to trip you up, unfortunately. But the reality is there are so many applicants. So make sure you have a different resume for each organization and each role, which is very specific to what that role wants. If you're going through an online application, most of the time, what I prefer to do is to look at my connections to see if do I know anyone in that organization. If I do, then I will reach out to them and I will say, hey, here's a role that I'm interested in. I would love to get your view on what that's like and see if you can put in a referral. That's pretty much what happened with Netflix for me. I was talking to a friend and telling them about how I'm interested in late stage startups and what I wanted to do. I had no marketing experience, never been part of a marketing team before. But he said that he was part of Netflix. He said, hey, I know a role that is open that you might be great for based on what I've heard about your experience. Do you want to apply? I was like, sure. Sent my resume. He sent it to the hiring manager. Hiring manager saw it. And I was called in for an interview. If I had applied online, I am pretty sure I would never have gotten that interview. So see if you can find a referral, especially later in your career. I think it helps a lot. Yeah, I think those were some of the things. And very specific to software engineering side, I think I'm really the wrong person on how you can prepare for those interviews. Maybe some of the other panels can add into that.
Yeah, I guess if there's any more questions, we'll put it in the end in the general Q&A. But that's it for now, Miss Apurva. Thank you. That was really good. Next up, we have Mr. Thiyagarajan Selvaraj, who is a seasoned HR professional with 10 plus years of experience in talent acquisition across India and the US. He has managed functions across different levels, which include laterals, leadership, niche, international, campus recruitment, and implementing various recruiting processes like re-engineering, predictive demand forecasting and management, social media sourcing initiatives, negotiations, employer branding in terms of talent attraction and mining, etc. We would love to have your guidance, Mr. Thiyagarajan.
Okay, thank you so much, Ambika and the team, Ganesh. So it's been a pleasure to be here today. I think this is the second or third year we've been associated with BMS. And so this is the first year from the campus as a team, right, in Epsilon, if you look at it. So we are like 5-year-old company in India. So this is the first year we are building a campus team specifically as a team, right? So that's, I think from this year, we will see a lot of engagement activities or the initiatives. So we are already talking to Ganesh and Ambika for the better for the students and also for the Epsilon wise, right? So that's what the program, maybe program what we are developing in. And this is a recent move which I've taken from the lateral hiring to the campus hiring teams, right? So this last 6 to 8 months is where I'm being part of the campus hiring, but this is my passion. I just want to be here and I'm here today, right? As Apurva and the previous panels were mentioning, right, about the networking and how do you get a job in Netflix or any other dream company, right? So if you look at that way, I started my career in a small company, right? It's big now, but it was a very small company those point in time, 40 to 60 member team. So when I joined as an intern there, I used to see the companies like the bigger companies, right? Amazon or Sapient for me in my resumes, if you look at it. So I didn't even know that maybe will I be part of those kind of companies in any point in time. But it just took some 4 to 5 years to just move to the ladder, right? So that's what we would, as a student, you will have to aim that way so that considering the intakes what you have taken in today, just implement it and put it in across the ladder and you try to get into the ladder. Definitely you're going to be there. So that's my input. I want to show it. So I have a smaller slides. I think it's almost the same what the team covered before. So I just want to show you just and then you can ask me any specific questions you have it on the campus front or what you want to prepare, whatever, right? So that can be done. So I'm just showing the slides, right? Okay, sorry. Just a minute. Can you see the screen?
Yes, that's
Yes.
Just put my background off. I don't know why.
Visible, yes.
1 minute. I'll just. Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay, so is it good now? Can you?
I think the previous screen was better. This is showing the entire desktop.
Okay. Let me do it again.
Probably the presentation mode should work.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is the similar one what the previous presenters were covered, but I just want to give my perspective how it has to be. Right. So I'm just moving on. Okay. Yeah, so just moving on. Right. So why are we here today, right? So we just want to give a perspective of what as a campus grad from your institute, what you want to look as a first kind of a job. That would be your first of your impression, right? If as a fresher you land in a job, so you'll have to be very sure that what you want to do in that particular job, and then take a call on it, right? So in your campuses, I'm sure that you have about multiple companies attending. So you don't just sake of attending, you just don't give the interviews, but you be sure that what you want to do, and you categorize the companies, and then you attend the interviews is what my view is. If you want to take a reference, I want to take the first presenter's presentation. There was a grid, right? So the tier 1, tier 2 companies. So you will have to categorize what you want to, and then you want to step into the next steps of it, right? That's how you'll have to look in. Right, and I have some of the few roles which you can target as an engineering grad, so it will help you to prepare, or it can eliminate whatever is rolling up in your mind. So it will eliminate some of the confusion, so you can rightly approach what you need to do. And you are at the right time, right? You are at the end of the third year, and you have a complete 1 year of time, or at least 4 to 5 months of time to prepare for while the seasons are ready. Then you can approach in that, right? So just moving on. So just make what exactly what you want, right? So then you decide what you want to do in a particular job, and then you can move into or maybe you can grow in that particular ladder, right? That's what it is. So that's what it talks about now. So you know what you want to do exactly, do it now, or you would have been confused right now. Maybe you would have been in a two state of mind, right? So you will maybe like, you know what you want to do, you may not know what you want to do, but for now it is okay. But this is a time, like 4 to 5 months, you will have to prepare yourself and get into a better opportunity, or the better company, or what maybe a higher studies or whatnot, right? Whatever you want to do, just be sure what you want to do, and then do it, right? And also, while picking a company or something, just look for a strong foundation, right? So for example, a grad from a computer science, right? So he'll have to decide what he want to do. So he will have to do, as he interested in the data side, or he is interested towards the product side, or he is interested towards mobile application side, right? So just build the strong foundation, and you do it on your own, right? So you don't refer off any of your friends who is doing something, and then I want to do that, or parents is pushing you for some other particular company or something. You don't try to do that, but you build whatever passion you have. Just try to build that as a foundation, and then try to crack that, and then definitely it's going to help you for the maybe the entire career wise, right? And salary, you can just look in, maybe whatever the best salaries you get, that is definitely there. But you need to just little compromise. While you get a better role, you'll have to compromise on a small salaries also, right? Maybe for an example, the tier 1 company will have about 12 lakhs, and some tier 2 companies will have 8 lakhs, right? This 4 lakhs there is a difference, I agree, but you will have to see what kind of role and impact you are going to do in a particular company, right? I don't want to take any examples, but so if you are very sure that, okay, this tier 1 company is going to be aligned to your career or aspiration, definitely please go ahead with that. But if you think that, okay, there is another company which is little low on the salary, which gives a lot of opportunities like vertical, horizontal, please maybe give an option that if you have that kind of interest, please look into that model, because it's not a sprint or something. It's like 100 meters, 200 meters. It's like a marathon. Next 3-4 decades, you will be on the job, right? On average, work experience in IT will be around 20-25 years you are going to spend. So just make sure that you do a right decision at the right time, and you are at the right time now. So just want to make sure. And also the brand, right? What Sourav is talking about, and the long-term prospects, right? So you'll have to see the company's goal, or some, maybe there are a lot of startups today, but you will not have them the next 2-3 years down the line. So there are a lot of factors involved in it. So while maybe campus season starts and companies start coming in, please make sure you understand the role and the company, how they been progress till now, and what is their vision and mission for the next 5 years or 10 years. So that will eliminate most of your confusions, and you will be at a better state of it, right? So the deep and wide is what I covered the last time, right? It's horizontal wise and vertical wise. Maybe companies in tier 2, tier 3 companies, you will have these kind of opportunities more, where you have a a deep and wide kind of thing. So you'll have a lot of options, and also there are a lot of companies today are encouraging about the internal job mobility, right? So when you join as a fresher, you complete 2 years, and then you have a option to move around within the company. So these days, companies decided that okay, instead of losing the talent to one competitor, why not the grad or any associate within the company can move into a particular other team, right? So it is benefit for the other team also. It is the company also, they are not losing the good talents also. That's how the company started looking in. So just keep all this in mind and do a lot of research, a lot of articles have been there, because when we were in campus, we never had these kind of opportunities, but you are at the right place. So please utilize those of things. Right, so this is a kind of small roles what you can target while primarily if you are in engineering, so you can have these kind of streams. If you ask me, sir, I'm from a CS background, I'm from an IS background, or I'm from EC background. So for us as a recruiter, we don't see the streams, but we see the profile, maybe the passion or the openness or the adaptability, how the student is, and then we approach and the transparency and all that. That's how we problem solving. So these are all the things which we see while we meet a candidate, right? So these are the few of the roles which I had in my maybe as a recruiter, which I can suggest. If you are in a confusion or something, then you can decide if you want to do something like this. You can definitely go ahead and plan something like this, right? So that's the overview I have. So if you have any questions, yeah, you can on specific towards the
Banners, alumni back, check once.
Yes, sir.
I think our panels are still here.
Yes, ma'am. They all seem to.
Yeah, Ambika, I just lost in between. I don't know why.
Yes, I think there was some network issue at the host's end.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
I thought it was my side. Okay.
No. For all of us. Yes, I think Nitya, you could continue.
Let us give the co-host privileges to them.
I think Mr. Sourav has exited the meeting.
I think we have our panel back.
Yes. So, yeah.
I think we stopped at, I was going to ask a question to sir. So we have a question from our attendees. What is the scope for management roles as a fresher from one of our attendees?
Okay, what is the score, is it?
Scope for any management role as a fresher.
Sure. Okay. See, there are companies, while you target it, so there are companies, they specifically hire only for the engineering roles, and there are some teams which they will hire for maybe the management roles as well, right? So then while we visit campus itself, we will be sure that what we are going to do. Maybe MCS are being clubbed with the engineering grads, but if you look at the MBAs, so it's a different approach. For example, within Epsilon, we have a role called a marketing business analyst or a project business analyst, right? So those kind of roles where we are aligned more on the management side. So if you are looking at something, if you are an MBA grad, you will have to target those kind of roles, is what my suggestion is.
Thank you, sir. I think that's pretty much it for the questions. Please stay back for the general Q&A that we'll have at the end.
Yeah,
we can move to the next speaker we have in line. We have Mr. Girish Shivarudraiah. Mr. Girish Shiva is a cloud analytics manager at Accenture Services, one of the world's leading professional services companies, providing consulting and outsourcing services through strategy, digital, technology, and operations capabilities. Mr. Girish has 12 plus years of IT service management experience, including 7 years of US onshore, and is currently working as a service delivery manager. Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. Can the attendees mute themselves? It's causing a little bit of disturbance. Thank you. We next have Mr. Girish Shivarudraiah. Mr. Girish Shiva is a cloud analytics manager at Accenture Services, one of the world's leading professional services companies, providing consulting and outsourcing services through strategy, digital, technology, and operations capabilities. Mr. Girish has 12 plus years of IT service management experience, including 7 years of US onshore, and is currently working as a service delivery manager, driving strategic and operational decisions for the platform enhancement and management for the organization, working across vendor teams and geographies. The floor is now yours, sir.
Likith, I think you should unmute Mr. Girish.
Okay. Is everyone able to hear me now?
Yes, yes. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Firstly, I think everyone up and I'm on BMS as well. Those in past electrical and electronics department. But thank entire BMSIT quad panel for this and Girish for the opportunity. Introduce myself. And I don't want this session long like every other speaker panel who they give great insight. I think most of them interacted to the HR and market.
Mr. Girish, I think there's some issue with your audio. Your voice seems to be breaking. I think he's lost connection.
Hello, is still everyone able to hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's better now.
Oh, okay, so I don't know at what point I broke up, but I was trying to introduce myself. I have been with Accenture for all my life. So I started my career as a campus graduate. I went through, it was my, I think Accenture was the first company which came to our campus, BMSIT, 14 years ago. And that company is what I'm still working with. As I keep saying, everyone has a different opinion about switching company, where we can get the best out of in the market. There's nothing right or wrong in it. Go with what's the best for you as an individual and live and enjoy every moment that you work for the organization. So in this 14 years, definitely I've got the experience not only within Accenture being a services company. We get to serve Google, we get to serve Amazon, we get to serve every industry, and there's no limitations of horizontal or the vertical, right? And some of my co-panel already touched that breadth versus depth. So from breadth perspective, I have functional exposure to financial companies. I've served financial companies while in onshore. I've served health insurance companies. Currently, I'm serving a chemical company. So from a functional perspective, it's broad. And technical perspective, I've been a cloud analytics manager. So everyone might be thinking, what's cloud? So that's where I wanted to take this 10, 15 minutes of all your precious time to give this real world example. I really did not want to go anything technical. So at this point, if you all are able to see my screen, just confirm, and then I'll go from there. I'll just give you a quick introduction to what is cloud. Everyone keep talking about cloud. Some of those co-panel also mentioned what's the critical skills for the next decade. There was AI, there was MAL, there was cloud skills. But everyone should first of all understand what's cloud, and that's what I'm trying to give a gist of it in here. Am I good to go with this slide? Is everyone able to see the screen with the slide on?
Yes, sir, we are able to see it.
Thank you. Thanks for the confirmation. So I'll run through the first few slides very quickly. My intention here is what's the need of the hour before I get into the technology side of the coin. With this pandemic, everyone chasing each other's tail. We don't know where we are heading. We don't know how well our life will be back to normal. So the positive mind is what we need. That's the need of the hour. So look out for anything that we can see as positive. And some of my slides will lead to the next, because most of the cloud innovation has happened because of the positive mindset. Some of the co-panel mentioned this as well. I'm echoing it. Though most of the industries suffered during this pandemic, IT did not. Why? Why? Because of an opportunity. Why? Because of thinking positively. Did everyone think that, oh, we can't go back to office? Did the office hours end? Did the work culture end? Did BMSIT start stopping this Embark sessions? No, we are still connected, right? We're still working. So let's look through the positive side of the lens than looking at the negative side of the lens. And that's when we can co-innovate or innovate. The next thing is about life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you react to it. That's what I said. I really liked when they approached me for this talk. I said the approach has changed, but what we used to do, like Ambika madam mentioned, this was happening since what, 7-8 years, and this is still happening. So how we reacted changed, but we did not stop doing it. So the positive mindset is definitely a key to what we do. And I just wanted to, in that slide, all I wanted to say was keep a positive mindset for yourself. On this slide, this is something I wanted to share, like what I have been following all my life, and I keep asking wherever I get. If I am a mentor, this is the first thing I'm going to say. It's a great example. If you take 1 and take to the proportionate of 365, it will still be 1. It doesn't change anything in your life. But just make that one extra step in your life, 1.01, right? And that repeats 365 days in your life. You're going to make a 37.7% leap. It's pure mathematics here, but it's very well gels in your reality, right? A small consistent effort every day, and don't even take that 365, make it 100, make it 200. It still makes a difference. It won't be 1 anymore. So for all my fellow colleagues and my mentees, this is the first thing I say, and this is the first thing I follow. Take that one small step extra in your life, and that makes a huge difference for you. And that analogy I will try to explain with this. And I think the co-panel mentioned it as well. I try to put more pictures. That's what I like in my life. Teamwork. We always keep telling teamwork, which is the key. Wherever you go, whether it's in marketing industry, technology industry, or functional industry, there is a team and there is different players. Not everyone will be playing the same role, and not an individual will make that team work. It's teams work. So every capabilities and abilities will have to be gelled. And in this example, those ants are small, but what they are trying to cross the barrier is huge. So the size, the quality, the quantity, nothing matters as long as there is a team and the teamwork. An individual cannot achieve everything. Okay, so this is where I wanted to touch a little bit of technology, and I don't like to take technical examples. So if you look at this, what is cloud? The only reason it is called cloud is because in the past, internet was shown with the cloud symbol. So it's just a metaphor to indicate that cloud. But cloud wasn't something newly innovated. It was always there. It's just that the design thinking, the people's mindset started implementing this into the reality. And that's why I took this pizza example. I don't want to take any technical example here and say this is what the difference between the infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, or a software as a service, which is more commonly called as IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. I'm trying to give this example to all of you. This can stick in your mind, and you don't have to always look into the examples from a technical side of it. What's an on-premise implementation? On-premise is something like you getting all the raw materials to prepare the pizza, and you preparing the pizza at your home and eating at your dining table. As simple as that. That's what is an on-premise. Same thing, the same exact thing that there's a lot of investment, right? You need to have everything on yourself. You need to put your hard work, prepare the pizza, and then eat it. It's gonna take some time. It's gonna take some effort and money. Take to the next one, infrastructure as a service. What if there was a ready-made pizza at the store? You just bought it home, baked it, and eat it. So that's infrastructure as a service for you. nowadays, because of the pandemic, all of us know that we can't go to the Pizza Huts as well or the Domino's. So it gets delivered to you. That's what is those stores are doing. Platform as a service. They're just delivering that to you. All you need is a dining table or a place to sit and eat it and enjoy the pizza. Don't you think in each of this the effort is reducing? The cost is somewhere balanced. But at the end of the day, what your ultimate outcome is going to be the same, right? You are having pizza. Did anything change in this 4 examples? The last example is software as a service, which is the dine out. So you don't even use your dining table. You went to a pizza store, just had their table, add all of their, including the napkins, it was theirs. You just went there, ate it, paid the bill, and came back. So it's a great example for us to understand what's the difference between these cloud services. The only reason it is called cloud is because it's delivered through internet. We are using a WebEx right now for this meeting. It's a cloud service, right? I don't think so. We are paying for the service, but are we having a server of our own? No. Someone else, Cisco is providing the servers. They in turn might be depending on someone else, but at the end of the day, you are getting your outcome. You're providing a WebEx service utilizing someone else's infrastructure. So I believe this could have given you some context, and that's where I said I want to give real world examples. That's what sticks in someone's mind, and this is all you need for the hour. Great innovation has happened in cloud because of this mentality. This is what is called design thinking as well, right? If on the same analogy, I want to continue on another slide. You going to college using government transport, what is it? It's a service. It's again a cloud. If you compare that to a cloud analogy, it's again a cloud-based service equivalent to that in a real world. You're not spending your money for the fuel. You're not. It's not your own transport. It's not your car. But still, you're achieving the outcome, getting from one destination to the other destination. So that's an analogy that's where I want people, students, and that's where I want our mentees to start thinking. Don't think some of these examples as technology. You will read, you will forget. Read this as real world scenarios, and then that's where you will be able to achieve more and learn more in that direction. So key differences, I don't want to spend much time. I explained the pizza example itself, right? In order, you're going to be spending less in one of the scenarios, but at the end of the day, outcome is going to be the same. So you pick and choose which service apt for you. Some of the big examples are here. Dropbox, DocuSign, Slack, these are SaaS. So Office 365 that you use on your mobile. They are SaaS applications. You just get it and use it. You're going to use Dropbox, Google Photos. You're going to upload your photos there. So it's just an application which you're using for yourself and based on internet. You can access it from anywhere at your convenience. Platform as a service also has a few examples here. And then infrastructure as a service like Google Cloud, AWS, Amazon Web Services to be precise. So this was one topic that I just wanted to take, and then with my primary intention was just to show this and then say, why is even Girish a cloud manager, right? There's no point in just saying cloud and what is without knowing what it is. So I just wanted to stress more on this slide. Hopefully, I've given you a gist of what it is. I also wanted to make this session a little interactive, but I don't know how much time is left. With whatever I've explained, I wanted to put 2 slides on my screen which I'm presenting. All of you should have mobile phones or even a laptop or desktop, wherever you're doing it. You should be able to go to www.menti.com, which is what you should be able to see it on top of my screen. I'm highlighting for you. You just have to enter the code which you see on the top right. You're gonna get 2 questions. And this is a real world example as well. Is everyone able to see my screen at this point?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Yep, it's www.menti.com and use the code. You will get 2 questions and you will be able to give the answers. So what is the question here? In the context of the cloud analogies that I gave, infrastructure as a service, software as a service, and platform as a service. In this example, what it more aligns to. So using a metro train or a government bus, what does it align to in the 3 options that you're gonna get? That's all you have to choose. So I'm gonna give you 30 seconds to take this, and then we'll be able to see on my screen. You can see how many people are responding as well. So we had around 100 plus participants. Even if it reaches close to 100, I'm going to stop this question and go to the next one. There's just 2 questions there. Okay, great going. Great going. We have almost 50 responses until now. And we'll be able to see the results as well. That's another thing I want to, this was a small way of me interacting with you all without knowing each of you, without able to see each of you. So I just took this opportunity to get this out fairly quickly. The next question you have is cab like Uber as a mode of transport. So it's a cab service. The first question was more on the government transport, like a metro train. This one is an example of Uber as a mode of your transport. It will have the same 3 options for you to select from. This one is fast filling. We are already at 52. Okay, so there you go. You can see the live scoring. Let's see the previous one as well. Okay, so we are at time. I don't want to end the survey, but at least I want to thank whoever tried to respond to this, and I wanted to give the right answer for each of this. So when you're using a metro train or government bus, you don't have a driver. It's not your driver. You're not investing fuel. So everything is software as a service equivalent, right? You're just paying for that transport. That's it. Nothing is yours. No investment from you on the infrastructure. That's where it's a software as a service. So 43% of you have answered it right, which is good, which is really good, and 40% are confused. So you've opted for the next closest one. 17% is wrong for sure in this list. Okay. And now cab, like Uber, as a mode of your transport. There will be a driver there for sure, right? So in a public transport versus this Uber example, why do you think many of you opted it as SaaS? It's not software as a service. You're calling it for a cab service, and you have your own control here. You can schedule at convenience, right? I can say I need this cab at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So it's not software as a service. You have a little more flexibility here. That's where it's a platform as a service. The last, in the same analogy, the last one is if you had rented a car yourself and you being the driver of it, definitely it would have been infrastructure as a service. So at that point, I want to stop. But I really want to thank everyone who responded. So I almost got 100 responses on this question, and we got 82 on the previous one. So it was a great interaction, and thank you everyone. Thank you for this opportunity as well. Any questions? I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, sir. That was a very good analogy. Pizza, everything about pizza we like. So that was a really good analogy. Since we're a little pressed on time, we'll move to the next speaker and we'll take questions after, general questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Girish. We now have Mr. Prajin T. Rajan, who is a software engineer who works at Google with abundant experience of working in most of our dream companies like Google, Amazon, Cisco, and he's also worked at Aricent Technologies. He holds nearly 10 years of experience specializing in software development domain. This year marks the decade since his graduation. Congratulations, sir. The floor is now yours.
Hey, hello everyone. I don't have much of a presentation as such, so I thought I'll keep this interactive and answer any questions that you have regarding corporate culture, or how do you prepare for your interview, or how do you succeed in one of these companies. So briefly, I'll go in my career journey. So I started out at Edison. That is where I was placed to after my campus, and I had a good run. I worked on something like video codecs and all. So that was a good run, and then I got an opportunity to work with Cisco, and I primarily worked on low layer networking. That was like core switching and routing, and that was entirely a domain shift, but again, it was a good journey for me. And then I worked at Amazon primarily on payments and ordering infrastructure there, and I've been at Google since last 1.5 years now. So here I work on enterprise security. Yeah, just to briefly touch upon what you would want in terms of preparation or to be successful in your career. Couple of points in no specific order. I'm going to say first would be your role-related knowledge. So this is irrespective of your stream, be it computer science, electrical, mechanical. So that is the core core technology that you're taught on in engineering, and you need to have good knowledge on this, good command of this. It depends how much of this would actually be used in your work, but having a good command of this helps you make the right decisions, right choices. So I would, in terms of preparation, I would say it's a journey, as in it's not something that you start today. If your interview is 2 weeks from now or something, rather just make it your practice, be curious about it, and it's a continuous practice, so build on that. Something that gets given a lot of importance in these companies is your problem solving skills and your design skills, right? So this again is something that you have to build with practice. So I think Apurva had mentioned that when you focus on the solutions and not on the problems, right? So any problem that I think, yeah, that's extremely important. Like any problem that you encounter, it's extremely important to break it down and just remove all the bits that does not matter and focus on the right problem. And now that could be a simple question in your interview or a business problem that you're solving as an engineer, right? So understand what is the core problem that you're trying to solve, get to the very basic of that and try to build different solutions. So first you need to build a simple solution that that can solve that issue for your customer and see how well they react to that. And then you build on that, and it's extremely important to do weighing of your different solutions. You should be able to think out of the box and list down what are the pros and cons, right? So technically, this is something that we do a lot and during interviews as well. So whenever the candidate comes up with solutions, we usually ask them, okay, what else can you do this? Or we can ask them to make a trade-off. Sometimes it can be a bit frustrating for the candidate because they might think that, okay, I actually solved this. Why are you adding more constraints and then asking me to solve it in a different way? So the core reason is this actually mirrors the business problems that you work on day to day. Just give me a minute. Yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, so that's pretty much what we do as engineers in these companies. Whenever we have solutions, we have these problems that we have to deal with. We list out multiple solutions, see what works best for users, and come up with that. So that is something that we would like to see in all engineers, freshers, interns, etc., but at their appropriate level. Right, so having stressed on this, next important thing would be the soft skills. And I think this has been very well covered in all the previous slides. But just things that have worked well for students who, especially interns, like right now I'm working with two interns on their projects here and working to get them converted as full-time engineers. So some of the things that we stress upon are their project management skills. Now, of course, you don't expect freshers or interns to come aboard and take full ownership of a project, but at their appropriate level, we see how well they are able to own that project and drive it. So it could be like whenever you are stuck, you proactively come and take the necessary help, or you collaborate with your other peers and to see how you can unblock yourself and move forward. So that would be your project management and ownership, which I have mentioned. The other thing is, of course, your communication and collaboration. Whatever thoughts you have, you should be able to articulate that in simple terms so that others around you can resonate and talk at the right level of detail, because there could be different stakeholders, and we need to talk at the right level of abstraction so that everyone is able to get onto the same page as you and arrive at a decision faster. And also collaborative, like it is quite normal that sometimes things don't move appropriately, or there can be friction in the team, pretty normal, and it's how well you work and support one another and move forward as a team. So generally we look for folks who are more team oriented than us. They could be extremely strong individual performance, but unless they are able to have that positive impact on their team members, I would say, yeah, having that is extremely important. The other thing that helps throughout your career is to learn and be curious. It's not something that stops once you pass out of college. Especially in these companies, I believe there is ample opportunity to learn. Like when I was at Amazon, something that really interested me was how distributed systems were built. Now, this was not something that was directly relevant for my work that I was doing in payments. We would use these systems as a service in this case. right? So like how we saw in this previous, so we have all these technologies which would form the infrastructure, and we would build our platform on that. So it did not really require me to understand the inner working of these, but I was curious. I spent some time. I would go into the technical details, like the technical papers backing these, and I found that something that's extremely useful for me. Yeah, the last point that I wanted to stress was something that organizations look for is customer empathy, which means you want to build the right products which will serve all types of users, right? So that is extremely important because you need to ensure that the products that you build are for everyone. There can be like some kind of biases that can creep in to what you're building because you did not expand the horizon of thinking and think from the angle of all the users of your product. So this is something that is extremely important. Yeah, so that's all that I had noted down as things that I wanted to say. I think the rest of the time probably we can spend on answering any specific questions.
Thank you, sir. You're kind of our role model right now because most of us here want to join the FANG companies. It's our dream. One question that one of our attendees had was, how was your experience switching from company to company? Like, when did you know that you had to switch, and how did it happen, basically?
Yeah. So just to answer, when did I know I had to switch? So it was not like at any point I had decided that, okay, I need to start looking for it. Fact was that these things, the opportunities came just like it was mostly about somebody had reached out to me, and I evaluated that option, like what is it that I would be getting into. So at some point I felt that it could augment my learning in terms as an engineer. Like it's a different problem space and it provides a different learning opportunity. So I thought it was a positive step.
So basically, you would know when you outweigh the pros and cons of your job versus the job that lays in front of you, right?
I would say
Like
yes.
you would know.
Yeah, I would say yes, but to be honest, it could go either way. I mean, it's not like when I decided to join Google, I knew that it was absolutely the right decision. I just saw that there is a good amount of potential, but there was always a very good chance that it just does not work out, and that's something. It's a calculated risk that I have to be prepared for. Like it might just not work out, and then. But the thing is, once you have built that skill set and a good network, it's not that big of. It's not too much of a risk that you take. I mean, of course, it's some amount of unknown is there, but you are convinced about the work culture of that company. You are convinced about the problem space that you're going to work with. Then I think it's more or less a clear discussion with clear direction with some amount of unknown. Another thing that helps is I don't look at interview as a one-way communication where they are evaluating if I'm the right candidate for the company, but I try to utilize this opportunity to see if that company or that particular team is something that I want to be in. Right. So it's a good opportunity generally. Even when I take interviews, I spend at least 5-10 minutes to talk to the candidates about the work culture and how we do things here. Right. So that helps them decide if this particular company is the right fit for them. So when I was sitting as an interviewee, I would take advantage of this opportunity. So my interviews generally give me a picture of how the company works and the work culture there. And then, of course, you get to talk very specific about the team with a manager or somebody from the very own team to understand what exactly are the challenges that they're dealing with and what excites them at work. We can definitely talk about what are the things that are not ideal in that. And then you make an informed decision.
Thank you, sir. We have another question from one of our attendees. Does someone at your level have to deal with imposter syndrome, and how has switching from job to job affected that?
Yeah. So I would say yes. The thing is, imposter syndrome, I think it kind of goes with, I think it's more tied to your personality, or it could be the environment that you're in. And I don't know if level makes a difference to that. But honestly, yes. When I came to Google, the learning curve was quite large. Like I had to unlearn a lot of things that I was familiar with at Amazon and had to ramp up on um, a lot of Google specific infrastructures, right? And all of these systems had been evolved from some of the early days of Google and had iterations or iterations, a lot of history that goes into this. So for someone to come from outside and ramp up, it takes up a lot of time. And it also takes up a lot of time for you to be productive, where you're feeling like, yes, you are doing the right thing for the company. So it was quite natural. Many times I did feel that, okay, I did manage to crack the interview and get into this company, but do I have what it takes to be successful here? Did I somehow just clear the interview with a lot of preparation? So that thought does naturally come to you. But what helped was the culture here. Imposter syndrome is something that is widely accepted. People totally openly talk about it, joke about it. So we do understand that it's just not just you, something that everyone goes through. And it's something that they told us about in our day one orientation itself. So there were new grads who joined with me. There were people with my level of experience, and there were some very senior folks like senior staff engineers and director level folks, like I would say senior managers, who were sitting in the same room. And what we were told was it was normal to have that imposter syndrome, to feel if you would belong here and be successful. But having that supportive culture is something that helped me to navigate. And it's something that comes and goes. Like it can happen again when you're getting promoted. You might feel that, okay, can I do justice to this new level? But yeah, having that positive culture, a positive mindset, and just moving on definitely helps.
Thank you, sir. That answered our question pretty well. There's another question from one of our attendees. How important is competitive coding in cracking interviews? Also, do internships really matter?
Yeah, so competitive coding, it depends on the particular role that you're applying. But since you very specifically asked for competitive programming, I think it would be definitely software engineering related role. Again, it depends from company to company. I can speak for Google, Amazon, and to an extent, yes, Cisco. So yes, programming is very important. And these companies openly encourage you to do a lot of programming. So I wouldn't term it as competitive programming, because idea is not to solve a particular problem in a fastest way or anything. The more I would think of it as a problem solving, right? It's not it's not to get to the best solution initially or anything. It's about, again, discussing different solutions that are possible, having an open verbal communication with your interviewer, right? Making sure that you are solving it's about understanding the problem first and then coming up with different solutions of the problems. Now, as an interviewer, I had seen some cases where candidates say that they claim that they have been in the top coder, or right, and generally we take this training to avoid any kind of bias. So even if somebody says that they are top coder, it's something that I try to keep it out of my mind to avoid my judgment when I'm evaluating the candidate. And sometimes I've seen that candidates then they are able to write that code fast, but then they have understood the problem entirely wrong. So yeah, so I wouldn't think of it as competitive programming, but it's about, first is about problem solving, looking at different solutions and communicating with the interviewer and making sure that you're all on the same page. Then the next part is to execute that code, right? Now you have a solution, you have an algorithm, now you have to type that code. So this is something where competitive programming helps, because it helps you to convert that algorithm into code And you need to do this first. Like you have about, it's usually a 45 minutes to 1 hour interview. You might take half of that time to arrive at your solution. And then you have only about 20 to 15 minutes to write that code, test that code, see if there are any issues, explain that code, right? So I think, yeah, competitive programming or any kind of coding practice helps here to convert your thoughts into code.
I think that's it for the questions. We can move to the general Q&A. Thank you for your insights, sir. It really helps. And we were looking forward to all your answers to the questions we had. We move to the general Q&A. I'll ask Cricket to take the floor now.
Thanks, okay, so we have a couple of questions from the audience. So the first one would be, as a fresher, how well versed are we expected to be in cloud computing technologies? And what kind of cloud certifications help to get a job in the cloud computing domain? Any of you can.
Oh, I can take it.
Yes.
So as a fresher, as I said, we don't need the technology of how cloud compute, as long as they understand what is cloud computing. That's the significant first step for you to enter into any industry. Because fresher, we don't expect how is infrastructure as a service executing, what's billing, how does the behind the scenes works. No, that's not what you are evaluated for, and that's not what we can expect from a fresher. But the fresher should be able to convey the message of why is the cloud computing important in this world. And that's where the real life examples that I shared, as long as you can articulate that, and that's the first step for you to be in. That's just my opinion. I'll defer to the other co-panel members as well if they have different thought.
There is another question as well. So, what kind of certifications will help to secure the job in cloud computing domain?
I don't know if anyone wants to take it, but if not, I will take it up as well. As I said, there is different cloud vendors, right? Amazon has a cloud, and the co-panel member from Google has a cloud. These days, every company is coming up their own cloud platforms. I'll put it that across. But of course, in the market, there will be some who will be leading, right? Google Cloud is there, Amazon Cloud is there, Microsoft has its own cloud. Any of the certification for the foundational learning, not for, as I said, foundation will teach you only how cloud is built and what is the need of cloud. So the certification is just an endorsement that you know about the concept. Certification is nothing other than an endorsement, right? I can know the cloud concept without having the certification as well. And that's where I think the other panel member also was saying, in the interview, we don't expect you to show me 10 certification and say I'm good at everything. No, that's not the real thing, right? You may have 10 certification, but what's the value if you don't know how to convey that, right? If you don't know how to convey it, then definitely you will not know how to apply it. The certification is just an endorsement. It's a badge. I have this badge, so by having that badge, I'll at least know I can ask some concepts for you. So short answer to your question is, will certification help? Yes. It stands you out. If there is 10 people, you will stand out. You will be that one person I'm going to start first. It's going to stand out. But will it help me to get in? No. Absolutely no. I wouldn't say that's the only criteria to get in.
Thank you for that, sir. It cleared the doubt about that. We have another question. So, how often do we end up using data structures and algorithms in regular jobs, and to what level? Should we be well versed with it?
Yeah, I can take that. Yeah. Right. Data structures, actually, I would say a lot. Right. Pretty much every code that I write in a day involves something like a map or a hash table, or something like that. Right. And occasionally even advanced data structures. And but there's a difference. Like even if you do not have to write it from scratch, you'll have to definitely work with systems that are implemented in these data structures. So, for example, like when I was working at Cisco, all these routers track which is the shortest path to get to the next node in that network, and all these are residing in a switch in form of a tree, right? So these things are built, and if you have to work on that, optimize that, you need to know what that is. So either your job or your team might require you to write it from the scratch, or you'll definitely closely be working with something that you're that's already there. Now, of course, there is a bit of catch that yes, it depends from team to team or the company to company. And speaking of algorithms, yes, I would say algorithm as a way of thinking of problem solving. So it's not necessary that you would implement all these algorithms that you study in your textbook every day, but it's just a way for you to think about how to approach a problem. But so yeah, end of the day, a lot of these things are built on algorithms, right? If you're using Google Maps, it gives you a way to reach from A to B, and that's definitely built on one of these well-known algorithms. And now slowly AI has started stepping into this and trying to make these problems which were earlier hard to solve using algorithms are now solved using AI. So just to drive the point, you may not directly code on those algorithms on a day-to-day basis, but it definitely helps you to think on how to approach a particular problem.
Thanks, Raju. It helped a lot. Yeah, okay. We have another question for Sourav, Mr. Sourav. The question is, are internships more valuable or projects more valuable on the CV?
Both. I would say both. Never miss an opportunity, right? Whatever you get to learn or get to gather in your 4 years of curriculum, right? You typically go to a college for hiring in your first 7th semester, or the 4-1 as you say it, right? But whatever you can gather in that point of time will all do value addition to your CV. But again, that's not the must to have, right? These are all good to haves. Without, as per your curriculum, whatever comes in your way, please go ahead and do that. So whether it's an internship, it's a project, because these are all tools to gather knowledge or sharpen your skills, right? So whatever you do, it's good for you in the long run.
But sir, if just in case if one candidate has more internships and the other candidate has more projects, which one will have more value?
No. We don't do like that way. It is completely your ability and your the way your convincing skill during your interview. It is nothing that if you need an internship or someone doesn't do internship, we don't want to do it. It is always measured on one-on-one. It is not during an interview. It's not that I will look at you, then I look at one more person, and then I take a call between one of them. It's never like that. And especially in case of a fresher hiring, maybe in case of laterals, when the limit scope is limited, I have say a 2 role for a project manager and I have 20 applications. Then those things can come into consideration. But in case of fresher, never, no way. I'm not going to compare one with the other. Everyone comes with their own skill sets and own capability.
Right, sir.
And just to add to that, I can say that it's never the number. I think one of the earlier slides we had seen that it's always quality over quantity. So if intern has intern or a fresher has some project or internship experience in their resume, I would ask them to pick one thing that they found most challenging and then talk about it. Like, did that give them an opportunity to demonstrate that ownership, demonstrate a project management skill or team collaboration? So it doesn't matter if you've done more internship or one, but does that one example convince me that yes, you have demonstrated these qualities?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Prajin, for that. It cleared out a lot of doubts. Okay, there's a last question. How do we maintain industry level standards in our projects? Any general good practices that has to be followed?
So sorry, I did not get the last part.
Do we have to follow any industry specific practices while we do our projects?
This is directed at since the GitHub and Stack Overflow are being used to screen candidates, since it's being looked into, we want to know the best practices of that we have to follow when making our projects, like yeah, probably the structure of a project or how well we have documented it or anything of that sort.
Okay, so I'll just add my 2 bits out here before I other panels can respond to it. See, from a hiring perspective, from an interview perspective, we don't get into the details on how you're taking how have you done the project, what benchmark, what standard, because we are not monitoring that during that interview, right? Only thing what a panel looks at that point of time is what was your involvement, what's your knowledge level on that project, how much you were involved, how much you were contributing to it, and try to assess you as a candidate and individual, right? So as a panel, I am not going to measure the benchmarking and all those things, right? So that's from the hiring perspective, but I would ask my other panels to comment on that.
I think you're absolutely right. The only thing I will call out on those GitHub, AI is trying to eat up a lot of, see, many of the manual work has been tried to be replaced. Wherever it is monotonous and the volume is high, they try to implement AI. AI is a robot, right? The only place where you have to be structured is in the keywords. Because those robots will be keyed or designed to check those keyboards and say this resume is something you can consider, right? If you lose the first layer of screening, obviously even if you're good in the lot, you're gone. You're not in the list. You're not amongst the one which was chosen. So that is the only place where you should look for structuring. And I think Vishwanadh and the 2 other co-panel members, they put in the slide as well, right? There's no standards. Every standard in this world is just a standard for someone to adhere. Having time, like once you get into the job, everything else is how you follow, how you react. So you having a to times, making sure your own best practice, not industry's best practice. Start off with yourself, and then comes the industries. So that basic is what you need to think about. So I try to answer both ways. The GitHub part is just for the AIs having the right keywords of the current market is what you have to think about. And once you get in, it's about your standards, you laying the standards, adhering to the best of you.
Yes, I think that answers the question. I think that's all we have. I think we can wind up. Thank you for all the panelists for answering the questions. So we hope most of the students' doubts have been cleared and all of them now have a better picture regarding the industrial requirements. On behalf of the college and the entire management group here, we are very grateful to the panel for sharing their insightful words with us in today's meeting. We would also like to express our gratitude to the principal, HODs and faculty members for their support to conduct this event. It has been great to host all the members and audience of the meeting. We are very thankful to all the participants for being here and attending this employees meetup. Thank you, everyone. Hope you have a great day. Please do fill the feedback form, which is sent in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting us.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining.
Bye.
Thank you for your time as well.